All right, chat. Welcome in. Welcome in. We made it, chat. Hey, yo, it's the start of the NBA season. Oh, we got to look away from the TV. They're raising the banner right now in OKC. It is what it is. I mean, we got to be honest, guys. This is about as excited as we've been for the start of a basketball season in a while. And we could definitely sit here and try to make up storylines about how, it's a new era in the league. It feels like, is OKC, is this a new reign, chat? Is this the start of like something we're gonna look back and be like, oh, the Shea era of the NBA, OKC, they dominated this time. It went the cycle of league history goes from, San Antonio to Golden State to OKC. Is that how we're gonna write the history books? Or is it just, speaking of San Antonio, Chad, this is about it, they might actually be good again this year? Hey, yo, we might be back in the mix. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. I think it probably does. But, we do have, like we said, the opening game to really set the tone. I mean, excitement anyways, season, all whatever. This is just going to be a good game. Hey, yo, chat. We got of course, speaking of champions, the reigning champion Thunder. But this Rockets team, this is about as good of, I don't know if we're quite into sports movie territory, but the elements of the matchup are pretty fun storylines, of course, with the young team trying to defend the crown. They're on top. Hey, whoa. They are, I guess we just should stick with just the reigning champions. It sounds good. So that's where, they're trying to maintain that pole position. Chat. Well, whatever. It is what it is. Turns out sports terms are difficult to navigate sometimes. But they're just trying to stay the top dog. And the Rockets, just as that matchup, not only, of course, the basketball talent, but just the literal aesthetic of it, where they are potentially the tallest lineup in NBA history, is like literally like you're like, oh man, what is this team? And we all, I think, for the NBA fans anyway, saw the picture going around of the Rockets. I think it was pretty close to the starting lineup. Anyways, it was at I believe, Jabari Smith high school sort of jersey retirement situation. I don't know. Shedeur Sanders, did Jabari Smith win more than 12 games in high school? I'm not sure, but I think he did, because of course he was like a number 1, 2, 3. I mean, he was a top 3 player in the draft, but I think he was also a top 3 player in high school as well too in those recruitment rankings. But they had the lineup of guys, posing with him, getting the picture. And again, the height was something that definitely jumped out. It was the fact that Durant actually looked kind of short in the lineup. It was like, whoa, what is this Rockets team just going to potentially be? And, Durant in a new team, Durant, the biggest wild card in the NBA in terms of the fact that, he's on a new team every couple of years. So it's like, oh man, what is this team going to, we get the whole offseason, that whole new anticipation of like, what is this team going to look like? Because, he's always jumping around. But this is a good, of course, roster around him in a sense, even though, maybe more a roster around Ben Thompson as well too, but a good roster around Durant where, we can go back to the Phoenix thing as well too. And I mean, you can check the tapes as well. There was definitely a lot of moves that they made that we were like, okay, that's a good move. That's a good move. That's a good move. It just didn't, of course, add up. And the coaching sort of player relations, and then just, I guess, player relations in general, obviously the trade that ended up happening with Durant, but just sort of, and there was other trades as well too, Bradley Beal, all the other stuff that happened, but there was just that general sort of commitment and buy-in from the players that felt like was lacking over the last couple of years, or last season maybe, I don't know. We go back to, of course, when they were competing with Denver in the playoffs, there was some buy-in there, but just the fact that, Durant could be sort of recommitted to basketball, because I guess, let's double check that sort of season timeline for him as well too, because that was the bummer about last year, and he still is, and I think, that's again trying to balance how to project this Rockets team out, because you do look at his numbers over the last year, and there is still that number 1, obviously, scoring option level of production that he still has, just again in the basic box score stats as well too. I mean, you see in Phoenix in 2023. 75 games played. He's second team All-NBA, 9th MVP voting All-Star, all the achievements. 27 a game, 5 assists as well as 6.5 rebounds, but 27 and 5. His shooting percentage is 52% from the field, 41% from 3, 85% for the free throw line. And then last year in Phoenix as well too, 52% from the field, even a little bit higher. I guess just better percentages overall. Yeah, effective field goal percentage, 50, almost 60% versus 58% 2 years ago, and 26 a game. So again, just like a shot attempt less per game, and just the defense and all the different stuff that was happening. I guess what was he at turnovers? A little less turnovers as well too. Again, Durant in the stats is pretty good. I guess yeah, obviously he was good last year. But yeah, they got Jabari, Sengun, Steven Adams, Durant, and Thompson. So shout out to Steven Adams. He's another guy that is still, we got to value his level of contribution that he brings to the team. Obviously not Durant, but and I guess him and Durant paired back up as well too is a fun teammate reunion. Do we have to go back and rank which teammates he would want to play with in the NBA now? And shout out to Steven Adams for being one of the ones that's still around. I mean, that is crazy, chat. Hey yo. Would we have guessed that in 2025, when Durant left for Oklahoma City, so I guess 2016, would we have guessed that maybe 10 years later that the teammate that would be best suited to still be his teammate from that OKC team would be Steven Adams? Because if we're considering, again, the level of play that they're at as well, too, I mean, shout out to Westbrook. I guess we'll see how he's able to lift the ceiling of the Sacramento team's chat. Hey, yo, light the beam. Russell Westbrook, we'll see. There's going to be some good Russell Westbrook moments in Sacramento. That's going to be a fun franchise for him to be a part of. It's just the legacy, chat. There's going to be a Westbrook, just tenure on the basketball reference. Am I even remembering that correctly, chat? Is Westbrook on the Kings? Hey, yo. That's not good. But Steven Adams is still a guy that you're like, okay, championship roster. He can still be around. I don't know. So, 2014, I guess he's always been a veteran. So they're all, I guess, salute to your service, Steven Adams. But he has, I guess, was a younger player back then. As he was drafted in 13-14. Westbrook was, Durant was 07, was it? Not 06-07 season. He would have been 07-08. And then Westbrook 08-09. Am I 1 year off on those? But yeah, he would have had, of course, a rookie contract basically under his belt by the time Steven Adams got in the league. So it is fair to say that, again, Steven Adams, from the basketball math standpoint of it, is still the player that is around. So that's what I was, saying. With all due respect to Westbrook, it's a good thing we double checked as well too. Because I guess, if they were, again, same draft, because yeah, Durant and Westbrook are one draft class apart. So their actual timeline of their careers is much similar than Steven Adams. Because yeah, 20 when he got drafted as well too. So it's not like he was, entered the league, 5-6 years in college, and then unless he's like a genius, and I just don't know the history. He's like in college at like 16 or something like that. But we're just talking about book smarts, chat. Steven Adams, but 20 years old, and then when he's drafted. So again, it still makes sense that at 31, you can produce. I get you have a season year long injury in there, but 13 minutes a game. That's what I'm. That sounds about right. 15. Maybe 20. I don't know what the regular season average is going to be, but the playoff minutes, you expect it to be somewhere in that range. I guess, he was up a little bit in the playoffs, 22 a game, but 22 minutes a game. But, as they maybe lean into that athleticism and switchability and stuff, they would trend with, could go with one of the other guys. And with as good as Thompson and Durant, and, you get sort of Jabari Smith, ideally, if he's consistent from three this year, as good as those guys can be, they can really mix up the lineups. And who knows, maybe there's going to be moments where it's like Sengun's not the matchup. We got to just have the one sort of defensive rebound. And I guess Sengun is a good rebounder as well, too. So it's not like, I guess we don't have to compare. It's not like, Jared Jackson or something, but, we got to, Jared Jackson, all it means is you just got to grab a couple more rebounds. And then guess what? All of a sudden you're a good rebounder. It's like, I don't know. Again, it's easier. Obviously, welcome in, chat. To the season hasn't even started. We're already off to a hot start, criticizing guys from the couch. But it is easier sometimes to obviously just sit here and be like, grab more rebounds when you're on the couch, and like, hey, people are ripping my game. But it's like, also, if you just grab more rebounds, we're gonna also probably say that he's grabbing more rebounds. He's just the stats are going up. So I always think of it's like that Zion clip, where he's like, ask the reporter, be honest, what do you think? What did you think about my defense? B+. I think we'll go back to the moment. I don't remember what the conversation was. We have to go refine the comments on that video from back then. But you know, the fact that he says I can live with that, I don't know if he says I can live with the honesty or the grade. Because if he's living with a B+ on the grade, you know, Zion can be a A-level defender. So, you know, you're like, hey, wait a second there. What's going on? But, chat, they're shaking hands. They're ready to tip off. I mean, shout out to NBC as well, too, for, you know, of course, acquiring the NBA. You know, you got to give them their congrats for that. I don't know what the ratings are, but still, you know, maybe NBC helps the ratings. It is a bigger network than TNT. If I'm not just totally off on this stuff. I mean, I'm not an expert, but you know, it would make sense. I don't know if Peacock itself would have more subscribers, but I think this is a national game as well. So I mean, just that alone. But Steven Adams, you know, speaking of chat, wins the tip over Chet. So shout out the Rockets, get the first possession. Let's go, chat. We're so back. This is great. Amen Thompson, Shea, Jalen Williams. We got a lot of the guys healthy as well too. Of course, the next game, you know, unfortunately, sciatica, chat. You know, we don't have LeBron. But this game, both of the rosters are basically, and, you know, RIP Fred VanVleet, of course, for his unfortunate injury before the start of the year. But let's be honest, chat, they should be starting this lineup anyways. Just get out there in game one. You know, you don't need to start your, is this the lineup we're going to have out there with 5 minutes? It's game one of the season. It's 82 games, you know. Run a scary lineup out there. Just everybody's 6'11", and just kind of throw the Thunder off their game a little bit. So Chet immediately with the tough basket and one opportunity. Speaking of, is that Jabari Smith on the help defense? Trying to not necessarily get an opportunity. I mean, you know, you're under the basket, tough spot. You're not really, you're in the restricted area as well too. So you're not going to be able to, you know, even get like, you know, get a charge or something if you are able to get over into the defending spot soon enough. But regardless, you got to shout out to Chet for, hey, yo, you know, everybody's giving Wemby his props for the off-season workouts and stuff. But we got to, you know, Chet, we saw him with the dumbbells, Chet. We saw him with the dumbbells. He's been putting on the strength. So, you know, do we need to have like a bench press competition? A max out? Hey, yo, I don't know. But Sven Goon, Chat, he's tested it early. Going to work on the post. Amen Thompson, the corner three. You know, he missed. It was a little bit of a little, you know, pause, a little stiff jumper, but it was not too far off. So you can see that. I think again, I don't know if it was the most comfortable jump shot, but it was looking like he has. It's looking like there is some improvement there. Again, I guess shooting coach Rem over here, pause. But regardless, just I don't know, from our own eye test, it does seem like there is maybe just a little bit more compact and smooth on the form, but just didn't quite, you know, the momentum. You know, maybe not 100%. I don't know. I don't think he greened the release, but regardless, it was like, oh, you know, Amen Thompson. I guess just based on one jumper, if he was like 38%. And I guess, you know, you can start going like open corner threes as well too. I don't actually know what you're supposed to be hitting it from an advantage. You know, are you supposed to be like 41% wide open? You know, what's wide open to open at whatever. But if he's, you know, 37.8% from three this year, you're like, okay, that's, you know, obviously very specific guess, but you know, that's a pretty good number as well too. Is that the borderline of good number, chat? I don't know, but that's a decent expectation as well, too. Sven Goon twice working Chet in the post, and Chet has not really given up any ground. So, you know, I think he does have the outside game and the versatility as well, too. But this may be the matchup we were talking about, Chet. Maybe Sven Goon gets played off the court early on as well, too. Maybe he's like a second unit guy in this one. You need to run some secondary offense through. The defense, Chat, stops the lob on Hartenstein, so you got to give him his credit. And then Durant, skying through, gets the dunk. So there's that, you know, size of the Rockets getting in the way for the Thunder defense. So you've got Durant starting on Case and Wallace, but yeah, just switch everything. Ayo. So immediately going at Durant is gonna be, of course, you know, interesting to see because you're gonna need him. You're never gonna. Are you gonna take him out defensively? Probably not. And you know, if you're Udoka, obviously, and you're gonna need him in there for offense. But I don't know, when he first got to Phoenix, there was still a level of defense that by the time I get to Chat, do we need to queue up a little Billy Stewart? I don't know. But by the time I get to Phoenix, Durant's already going to want another trade. I think that was that in the song, Chat? I don't know. But, you know, by the time he got to Phoenix, he still had a little bit of defense left in him. That might be in the song. Maybe each, I don't know. But, you know, there was still that, you know, you would still think that he could hold up regular season as well. I think is more so playoffs, him locking in. You know, hopefully he's healthy. We'll have to see. But, you know, teams attacking him a little bit regular season, you could see it. And there is going to be, you know, a competitiveness in this game. Again, it is game one. I was saying that maybe don't go playoffs right away. But again, we know that the environment is going to be a good environment. It's going to be hopefully a high intensity game here to start the year. So, in chat, the little slam dunk graphics on NBC. Hey, yo, I like the little detail, little attention to details there. It's a fun sort of, you know, we got a nice sort of, I guess, you know, it's sleek, modern, you know, looks like a normal sort of scoreboard, but kind of fun little animation there. Shout out, Rem Breaks Down Graphics, I guess, is a little segment here we do in the first quarter. So shout out to NBC. And then Thompson, another corner three. That one, you know, good look good as well too, but short, front rimmed. So maybe we watch Bronny take too many jumpers, chat, and I don't know what our pause. I guess shout out. I mean, you know, will Bronny play tonight? I guess is the question. I don't know. Well, I don't know if the Warriors can win by that much, chat. We'll have to see. But Shea immediately on the defense with Jabari Smith making it difficult. So one of the things that we did see, of course, in the preseason that was interesting was the reliance on, and you know, they've gone to the Amen Thompson, I guess, corner three instead of the Jabari Smith corner three. And I know we were saying, hey, is he going to be good there? But that's not how you're going to want him to, that's not the focus you want him to have on offense. So again, you know, we're in the first quarter here. It could just be get a rhythm. Let's see what's happening. And somehow they still have 10 points. You know, just defense, rebounding, flying around. They're still able to keep pace offensively with what OKC is doing. And do they just go to a little zone there, kind of cause a turnover? Oh, speaking of Jabari Smith pull up three. So yeah, I don't know if this is a good 3-point shooting team. You know, hot take, chat. Looking at this lineup. Again, Jabari Smith, Steven Adams, obviously Durant, one of the best, just most accurate scorers we've had in the history of the game. Ooh, Hartenstein, that little floater is his game. Hey, yo, chat. He misses it twice in a row, I guess. But you know, just in terms of, again, how they run their offense, and that is, I think, stylistically a little bit what we saw Udoka, you know, trend toward in Boston, and then of course Missoula's like, oh, I like that idea. Let me just, you know, hey, yo, take it up a notch. And we're just going to take a ton of threes. Ooh, Chet off a screen, Chet? Was foot on the line? Did they take a point off there? But it's not necessarily a drive and kick sort of team to three. Oh, Amen Thompson, 3 threes in a row. Oh, Chet, there he goes. Never mind. Amen Thompson, take all the threes you want. He's 1 for 3, so 33%, not the line that we were at. But if he makes the next one, he's at 50. So he needs to take at least one more. I think in our go for it, chat. It's early on. It's game one, and there's beautiful execution against the zone, chat. Udoka, one play against the zone. Time he's taking Sengun out. It is what it is. You're gonna run zone with Sengun in the middle of the defense. I don't know. Apparently not the move. Chet gets the little mid-range jumper to go there. 13-13 though. Again, you can see the balance. It could be a close, feisty game, but yeah, the way that, again, Udoka had that Boston team playing, and that's how they're built to play as well too. You know, Tatum and Brown are drive and kick scorers. You have White, and again, back, I guess, did they have Holiday with Udoka? I don't remember the timeline with everybody there, but I guess they made the finals with Udoka. So yeah, was Holiday there when they made the finals, or did they trade for him the year after? Let's double check here. Obviously, he'll be on the Blazers when they make the finals with Scoot, but with Boston, yeah, I don't think he was on the playoff team that year. He would have been still on Milwaukee, I guess. Was he on the wrong side of the Grant Williams game that year, unfortunately. So, yeah, 2021-22 was the year that Golden State won the finals. So, or 22-23. I mean, regardless, you know, Milwaukee didn't win it either year. So, yeah, he was with the Boston, the 2 playoff series, I guess. Not with Udoka. But still, I guess Marcus Smart was taking threes, you know, so it's not like they had a guy that, you know, wasn't going to not take threes. But even still, like, their centers as well, too. Horford was a perimeter threat type of guy, so it worked for the team. And it's what, you know, there is a switchability there again. Even Smart, Holiday, again, there's a similar profile to their games, even though if maybe Holiday's a little bit more, kind of a little smoother with the game at times than Marcus Smart, and there's of course maybe a little consistency at a higher level than Holiday's had over the course of his career as well too. Shout out, near Hall of Famer, but in our minds, put him in the Rem and Sam Hall of Fame. He gets our vote, but again, this is not what that Houston team is. So maybe this is going to be an interesting sort of Udoka figuring out how to coach this team, because that does seem like, and again, Rem sits here on the couch and judges these guys, but I feel like that is a commonality that you hear the good coaches sort of just say. And, they'll get asked, of course, how are you, what are you doing with this team that makes what are you doing with this guy that makes it better than this past situations? Or like Kevin O'Connell, for example. I even forget what the interview was that we were listening to. Hey, what pod was Kevin O'Connell on that we would have been listening to? I forget, but or maybe they were playing a clip. I don't know, or maybe it was Reds. Yeah, Chad. Oh, you know what? There was a day. Shout out, our mom got a new car and we were driving it around the other day and it had Sirius in it. I don't know if she's paying for Sirius or if it was like a trial with the car. If she's paying for Sirius, we might be stealing the car a little bit more. It is what it is, but they might have had Kevin O'Connell soundbite on the NFL channel. But he was talking about, again, coaching his team, and just you got to kind of figure out what your players are good at and maximize that maybe a little bit more than how do they work to the way that I kind of coach the team. And again, I feel like there's examples both ways as well too, where if you have a coach that does a specific sort of thing very, very well, and you want to make sure to build your teams in that sort of style, I'm sure there's versions of that have been very, very successful. But, it does seem, or like a guy like Shanahan as well too, where it seems like, again, stylistically, they're kind of running the same thing, but he is able to, of course, the play calling elements of it and able to balance that stuff depending on who his quarterback is to put the guys in the best spot to succeed. But, again, I don't know if this Rockets team is just like a standard Udoka style roster. So we did see them really focus on, like in a couple of the moments that we watched in preseason, there was a lot of Jabari Smith corner threes and a lot of driving kick scenarios to that. And I guess this Amen Thompson, foot on the line, chat, that's why it went in. But, the Amen Thompson three, there was a pull-up jumper, not necessarily, part of the offense. But both of those Amen Thompson jumpers as well, 2 for 3. And, I mean, you can see probably with him taking those threes as confidently and as, just the no hesitation, just like, okay, I'm open, I'm going to shoot a three. Again, that is, has to be the Udoka coaching of this team, where he's like, okay, let's try to be this team early on in the season. Let's see if we can get the 3-point game going a little bit. And again, it's 2025. It's obviously better for everybody's game. Is Amen Thompson not better off if he starts making 3-pointers? Of course, we wanted Ben Simmons to make 3-pointers, and I don't even know if Ben Simmons needed to make 3-pointers. He just needed to take one a game and then just actually start taking other buckets as well too at some point. But again, is that element obviously arguably the most important offensive element that what if you could have one offensive element to your game, you're probably going to take 3-point shooting. So it's like, okay, Amen Thompson can do everything else, but still, if you're actually going to talk about how is this team going to be win now this year, I mean, those guys are good enough in their own skill sets to be competing against these teams. I mean, we see him driving right there, floating it up over Hartenstein. I mean, he's already kind of casually like this good as well. Like, that is a pretty difficult floater. The stop and the height that he gets that up, the arc on that floater to be able to get that to drop. That is the type of bucket that you get that does kind of make you, again, think, because again, he does make 3-pointers. But that's the type of bucket that you're like, okay, there's an outside jumper that is in his game because he has the Hayadai to be able to get that type of a bucket to go. He's not necessarily committing to trying to like go around Hartenstein and get a layup around the basket. Oh, Dort, Chad. Speaking of guys that'll take threes. Hey, Lou Dort firing away there. He's like, you see the arc on that Thompson floater? Watch this 3-pointer. Hey, But, yeah, so, I mean, again, Udoka, it makes sense early on, I get it, but if by game 20 this team is like as a team 32% from 3, 29%, the Van Fleet injury as well too. Van Fleet, with as good a player as he is, consistent defense, good playmaker in terms of getting guys set up, but he's not necessarily the deadliest three-pointer. He's had good years, but he's also, been like 29% from 3 for stretches, speaking of. So Durant in the isolation chat gets the, easy getting to the basket. So there we go. Now we've second half of the second quarter here, settle into a little bit more of some offense that they can actually go to. Whoa, Steven Adams on the closeout chat. Shout out. Was that center Jalen Williams with the little pull-up dribble? Speaking of guys getting better, we're all talking about J-Dub getting better. But what about J. Will? He's going to improve as well too. The back cut for Amen Thompson. So, that's the stuff right there, chat. Ball movement, getting to the basket, being an athletic team. And we saw with OKC last year that you don't necessarily have to, the thing about them is they are a team that can actually be a good three-point shooting team. So it is an element of their game that, again, at its best, is something that we would, it's like, okay, it's not something that we're worried about, but they are a little inconsistent at times as well too. Again, obviously Shea is not the number one three-point shooter, but Jalen Williams for his career has been pretty good. But Dort is a little, up and down. Cason Wallace as well too hasn't necessarily crossed over into being a super high volume three-point shooter as well. Caruso can get a little defensive. Is he going to just be taking a ton of threes as well too? But again, with the way that they can play defense and move in transition and just the speed that they're going to be going up and down the court at and switching over buckets like that, they can match any of these teams offensively. Again, they're just not going to score defensively as well too. So, they don't have a Durant person per se on the roster that has that sort of age element as just sort of a looming factor where, again, even if Durant is going back to back to his Phoenix days or, his Brooklyn days where he was probably at his best defensively in Golden State, for sure. So, I guess if he was going back to there for, obviously, then that's great for Houston. But the teams attacking him and just that being a factor and, durability as well too, obviously is going to be a thing there. Hopefully we haven't mentioned it enough times that it's just, Houston fans are like, stop. But, it is something that OKC just doesn't have on their roster for one of their main guys. I don't think, honestly, any of their guys are veterans at this point. Not even their 13th man. I think they just have Usman Jang and Topic on the end of their bench at this point. So, Steven Adams as well too, obviously is not necessarily a guy that you're going to have switching out with guards all the time. But there is versions of the lineup that can, like we're saying, definitely can manage that for sure. So we'll see how Udoka is able to play out this team here. Oh, no Finney Smith as well too. So, that is a underrated out person for this game. And it doesn't look like he is going to be out crazy, a crazy amount of time as well. So, that is a sneaky enough move. And I guess, shout out, no guard Jalen Williams tonight as well too. We weren't even paying attention, OKC chat. They're just so, they're stacked and, we're just locked into rewatching basketball. We haven't even taken a moment to breathe yet. But yeah, I guess no Topic either. Topic out till November 11th. He is kind of a sneaky injury guy though, I think, at this point. So maybe that's why he fell in the draft, because people were definitely valuing his basketball talent and playmaking as a very, maybe even top 5 potential draft guy at some point. But between the defense and the health concerns, I feel like that definitely, helped for him going to OKC. And then, them taking him in the lottery is one of those they have the ability to kind of stash or maybe, if nothing happens, if just unfortunately nothing materializes, it doesn't quite line up, then, they have the ability to kind of absorb that loss. And no Sorber. I don't know if Sorber is going to be a rotation guy this year, but that was a good pick in the draft as well, too. That gives them, they have a lot of, again, those wing sort of ball handler type guys. They have, Presti has a type that he gravitates towards. So they do have a bunch of versatile guys that can step up just in theory, maybe not to Jalen Williams, Shea level, but at least as rotation players if you need them to be. So to have that continued depth as well too in the front court was just a great add by Presti. And Sorber was a guy that we kind of thought could be a, I don't know, instant impact rookie, to what degree, but a guy that could be playing some minutes early on, and with the defense effort and maybe a little bit of offensive mid-range stuff could be pretty interesting. So I don't remember what he was doing in Summer League. I don't even remember if he was playing in Summer League, to be honest. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but hey, it is what it is. So, again, no Jalen Williams, obviously, shout out. That is, I guess, the biggest factor for, I guess, rematch type stuff if we're just going for how these teams are going to look against each other later in the year. Ooh, the Reed Shepherd minutes now, chat. So you get Case and Wallace in the lineup for OKC, who's not a guy that, Reed Shepherd's going to attack Case and Wallace, but maybe on the other end of the court, Reed Shepherd's not necessarily totally lost on defense against somebody as well, too, if he's able to keep the matchup there. So who's he going to pick up now? Oh, he's got Dort this time. I mean, I guess he is a good defender, but I don't know if Dort they maybe tried driving a little bit here. We'll see. Speaking of, Shea gets to go for his first field goal of the season, chat. Reigning MVP. I mean, Jokic, of course, has... Oh, chat, we've got a fight in the hockey game. Hey, we should mention. We've got just a little Panthers-Bruins on the other TV. Of course, shout out, the NBA season opening night, so we don't have the full array of games to start going, multiple multi-views here. But we do have, ESPN having to throw on a little hockey. And shout out to TNT as well, too. I was interested to see what their programming would be in absence of, this game being a TNT game, potentially. But I guess Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 will have to do for now, chat. It is what it is. So a little endgame into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The NBA fans who don't know about the MCU are going to be confused, chat. They're going to be, Peter Quill before the endgame situation. I guess he's not really, he's a little bit more important in Infinity War. Hey, are we spoiling the people that are watching TNT right now? I'm not sure. Who is, chat? We'll have to double check. If TNT releases the ratings, they're like, actually, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 do better than the NBA. I think that says something more about the NBA. But, we'll just have to keep an eye on the press releases the next couple of days. But, yeah, I guess, we had a fight there for a second. So, shout out. Of course, hockey at its finest. But the Mammoth, chat, that's a new team for the hockey, right? That is a good name. And their little logo there looked pretty cool. They've only got the kind of cross sections of the logo going on the bottom part of the screen for ESPN right now. 32 teams, 16 games, one night. Oh, next Tuesday. Frozen Frenzy? Whoa, chat, we're going to have a Frozen Frenzy next week. This is crazy. Are we getting into hockey? The Kraken? Ooh, chat. Should we put up a poll? Which team would we be fans of? The Predators. I mean, if we're talking, the movie franchise, one of our favorite franchises. So that could be a natural team to gravitate toward. But didn't they used to have PK Subban? So would it be, not smart to root for them after, post Subban, chat? PK post Subban playing days. I don't know if that's what it stands for, but I don't know if they have good talent to sort of replace that loss as well too. Because I think weren't they in the finals with him? Maybe they even won, chat. Shout out. He's obviously a star player. But first quarter, 23-23, the Rockets are hanging in there. I mean, OKC can be a foot on the gas, second half team. The defense wears you down a little bit. We saw Indiana have moments of going toe-to-toe with them a little bit in the finals. I mean, for a couple minutes in the finals of Game 7 there, they were, it was looking pretty good. But for the most part, again, OKC did have some decisive moments in that one. And Shea gets Reed Shepherd spinned around, chat. Hey, but you see the help for the Rockets defense there. Of course, Shea's going to get the foul. You do have a little bit of, slightly chaotic closing out and help defense there from the Rockets defenders. But still just immediately having to go in and battle those towers in the middle. I guess, we just assumed it was Shea getting a foul because they stopped the play. But I guess Dagnall is challenging that there is a foul. So, again, you got to go in two guys there. There is pause enough contact to draw a foul. It is what it is. But, yeah, I guess, Finney Smith is, if we're talking about them being that Udoka-type team, he is a guy that can fit that mold. And, is he Landry Shamet from the 3-point line, but, you know, he's a decent 3-point shooter who is off of the catch-and-shoot playmakers. A guy like next to Luka and other players in the past has proven that he can be very, very successful in that role. So you get him, of course, again, Durant fits any type of offense. You know, again, that's why, of course, Reed Shepherd is important as well, too. They were letting him take threes in the preseason because Udoka's like, I'm going to need him. So Jabari Smith, you know, he had that type of, we thought he could definitely get a 3-point game in the NBA, but I don't know if it was like a catch-and-shoot 3-point game that we were thinking. I mean, to some degree. But, again, he was low. Is he going to get the Durant comps? But Brandon Ingram-ish as well, too, a little, you know, just the taller scorer, can operate from the mid-range at times, and then maybe he's a little bit more like 3.5 threes a game instead of, you know, just like 6, 7 catch-and-shoot threes a game. But 1 for 2 to start is not bad. So then that would be kind of the spacing around Thompson a little bit as well, too. So that's really what's going to happen is the commitment to let Thompson, and I'm sure later in the game as well, too, that is what it's going to be. And we could get here, we could sit here and, you know, get hot takey about that as well, too, because, I mean, it's definitely true that in terms of the best player sort of battle in Houston, you know, it'll be interesting to see who emerges in that aspect as well. I mean, again, the front runners being Durant and Thompson. Will it be Sengun? Will it be, I guess, he would be kind of the outside third option just because of scoring ability, I guess. But I don't know. It is pretty clean, Chat. I mean, they didn't get any contact, like, on the arms. Ayo. I guess did Udoka challenge to not get the foul. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Maybe we got to lock in on the closed captioning here, Chad. It is what it is. Regardless, you know it's going to end up with a Shea at the free throw line anyway. So they're like, oh, you know, however that works out for it not being a foul. They're just like, well, we just have to give him 2 free throws. It is what it is. Oh, so he misses the second. The rare missing the second, you know, ball don't lie, Chat. We'll have to see there. But Tari Eason checking in the game. The dribbling ability against this Thunder team could be an issue. Immediately pressing as he gets the ball kind of outside the 3-point line there and really not able to drive much. Caruso on Durant, making life difficult, but pump fake Hezi. I mean, I take it all back, Chat. It's Kevin Durant. It's one of the greatest. You can't put Caruso on him. What is this, Jokic? Was Caruso guarding Jokic? I feel like Jokic just had some of those guard trial matchups going there. Jalen Williams, speaking of, Chat. So Jalen Williams has the powers of guard Jalen Williams tonight. He's taking threes. He's taking dribble pull-ups from the baseline. He's trying to play like a perimeter player a little bit in this one. So I don't know, maybe the defense around the, you know, he does play those center minutes as well too. So there's something. Oh, Chat, Lou Dort on the crazy closeout. We've already got a top 5 closeout attempt of the year, and it is, you know, we're already in the first quarter. And I guess it just dawned on me as well, too. I heard him a little bit, I think, on the commentary there, getting excited about the closeout as well, too. Miller on NBC, is there, I guess if TNT's not doing the games, it's not like Reggie Miller's going to stay with the network. But, you know, still, shout out to keep Reggie Miller calling games. I know that, you know, I guess we're not necessarily Simmons or Brian Curtis over here. Shout out to those guys, you know, talking about, you know, how we think about how good some of these announcers are. I mean, you know, obviously, if there's a really good announcer in any aspect, a play-by-play or a analyst role, then it's going to stand out. I mean, you know, we still miss the Van Gundy, Mark Jackson team as well, too. And again, Mark Jackson doesn't get his credit as a coach or as a guy in that broadcast because, I mean, Van Gundy, I mean, he definitely had his clip-worthy moments as a solo broadcaster, but, I mean, he was obviously at his best if it was him and Breen together. If he went solo, and that's Breen's ability as well, too, to play off him. I mean, shout out to Wiggins there with the 3. 2 points now. So, you know, the Rockets starting to, or I guess the Thunder starting to build a little bit of a lead now. In the game, they're up by 2. But, oh, Chad, I guess on the ESPN, the Rockets going a little 5-point run. Is this Reed Shepherd? Oh, fire away, Chad. Reed Shepherd for 3. I don't know. We can't get excited for Houston to be good because, you know, the Texas Triangle, speaking of the Ringer, Chat, hey, yo. I guess, do we shout out Russillo here, Chat? We're not taking sides, so we got to just mention everybody. But it is what it is. So, yeah, we got, I guess I don't even know where we were going from that. Something about 3-point shooting and, you know, Reed Shepherd looking good there to start. But, yeah, hey, yo, Chat, we were talking about something crazy before that. It is what it is. But we got, whoa, who's checked in for the Thunder now? Who is this? We have the first who is this moment of the game. Who's number 23, chat? Oh, Brooks Barnheiser? Yeah, I don't feel bad about not knowing that one. Again, maybe we could have watched a little bit more preseason. Maybe Barnheiser got some minutes. Good, strong post defense there, trying to hold up a little bit. But, oh, Easton attacking, not able to get it to go around the basket there. The Thunder defense is swarming for sure. But, he maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see him take a couple of jumpers and see how that looks. But you see, at least the commitment to defense from Brooks Barnheiser is going to be there for sure. So, oh, chat, we were talking about the announcers. Van Gundy, that's what it was. Shout out to Van Gundy. Yeah, so anyway, I guess, a good color guy. But I guess point being, the point we were going to make is shout out to Reggie Miller, because we like hearing Reggie Miller call games. Maybe there's a nostalgia factor there as well, too, but Reggie Miller's good at calling games. So we got to, we got to give him his respect. Is Tarico on the play-by-play? Do we have to listen real quick, chat? It may be Tarico. Let me turn the volume up. NBA, don't take the live stream down. Take the bots down for 1 second. Hey, yo. Yeah, it is Tarico, chat. Oh, I thought I muted the mic there for a second to not get the copyright, but we'll just risk it for, it is what it is. But, yeah, shout out to Tarico as well, too. So, I mean, that's a top-level guy in the business just in general. And to have Tarico on the NBA just in general, or basketball as well too, because I don't know, does NBC, they don't have Notre Dame basketball, do they? Maybe they do, and we just weren't paying as, you're not going to be paying as much attention to Notre Dame basketball as you are Notre Dame football, with all due respect. But I don't know if Tarico, had any responsibilities in the sport at all, so for him to be back in that aspect is fun. And was Tarico even calling Notre Dame games? Obviously NBC's moved into some Big Ten stuff as well now too, and there are some other, other college games as well. But I'm sure I don't even remember who the college guys that they've had on in the past are. It is what it is. Well, I think maybe like Noah Eagle was a NBC guy there for a minute doing college stuff. I don't remember, but maybe we do, chat, and that's why we're saying it. Who knows? But yeah, regardless, fun crew for the NBC game, and I'm liking the vibes of the studio gang as well, too. Make no mistake, we didn't get to see a minute of the studio gang breaking down anything. And I don't know if that's good or bad about what they feel like. But, it's in terms of their broadcasters as well, too. They do have Maria Taylor hosting. So a veteran host, I think, is probably more important than veteran analysts just in terms of keeping the show going early on. I just, like, literally the show happening and keeping everything moving and just on schedule and making sure people are getting, equal sort of time and just trying to get, balance everything out. Like having somebody that, just knows what to do and can help, of course, but I mean, if you have the veteran analysts that kind of know the timing of stuff as well, too, then they can kind of, naturally play to the segments and stuff a little bit as well. I'm sure helping out a host. But regardless, again, having a veteran like Maria Taylor there is great. And, Mello and I guess T-Mac and stuff, they've been doing the sort of, T-Mac has been on TNT as well, I guess, for a while, and kind of the B-team role there. Again, it's inside the NBA, so there's really, it's not even, what are the tiers, chat? That's like S tier, so T-Mac is really in the A tier team, I'm not sure. But him and Vince Carter and Mello, they had him courtside before the game, so I think that's the studio group. I don't know if maybe is Jamal Crawford in there as well, too. I guess we have to look up the Prime. Do we have to look up the Prime group chat? Because I guess no Taylor Rooks in this one. I think Taylor Rooks might be Prime. But here, MB, well, I guess she's definitely Prime chat, but I think she's calling games on Amazon. Is that what we mean? Hey, yo. But let's see. NBA, NBC analysts. Hey, yo, chat. We don't really know how to spell words now because hey, yo, it is what it is. So we just have to go commentators. Hey, yo, we might have to go to break, chat. I'm not sure. But anyways, can we get a full? So they do have Noah Eagle on NBC. Terry Gannon, play-by-play. Michael Grady, shout out. Michael Grady's pretty good. Big fan. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. We don't know exactly what all games he's. I just know Michael Grady's called games, and he's done a good job. I feel like he's done college football over at ESPN though, so that is for moving to the NBA. I think a good move for him. So yeah, they do have Jamal Crawford, Grant Hill, Brad Daugherty, Derek Fisher, Robbie Hummel, Austin Rivers, Brian Scalabrine, Maria Taylor. Oh, so yeah, here's the Scalabrine in the is this the Charles Barkley of the crew here, chat? Scalabrine, I guess. No disrespect to Charles Barkley, but Mello, Carter, and T-Mac is definitely a fun trio for sure. And again, Mello's fun on the pod, so I don't know if it needs to be Maria Taylor, Mello, and Marrow on the pod, but we get T-Mac and the cousin vibes with him and Vince Carter hanging out. I'm sure is pretty fun. So what? Grant Hill, analyst, not a studio analyst. So I guess he's probably he calls games as well too. Doherty and Derek Fisher are calling games. So they've got a full. They got the pause. Whoa, they got ability to do 4 games. I guess they got 4 teams with Tarico as 4 play-by-play guys. Tarico, Eagle, Terry Gannon, and Michael Grady. I guess this is according to the AI as well too. So hopefully that's right. But let's see here. So we want NBA Prime commentators. And let's see what this list is here. Full list of broadcast teams. NBA. Oh, this is all of them here. Okay. So I know ESPN's had some shakeups as well too. I guess, still the same group of people, even if some of the responsibilities have shifted a little bit. So yeah, Breen, Pash, Rucco, and Mark Jones calling games, chat. Can't get much better. Bob Myers still as an analyst, chat. I thought he just got hired up as some sort of president of like some sort of sporting group operations. It's like Phillies, Washington, and maybe 76ers as well too. Maybe we're looking that up next, chat, because if it is 76ers, that does get interesting. Maybe something to say for a later time. Amen Thompson, that 3 was not looking good there. I guess they've gotten progressively worse, chat. Hey, yo. But at least, again, the effort is there. But I don't know, that shot selection was kind of tough as well too. But, yeah, again, we know the ESPN group. The NBC group we just saw. So Prime. Ooh, Iron Eagle chat. Oh, wait. I was going to say, he's getting the paychecks. But we got Noah Eagle on NBC. That's what it was. So, yeah. Noah Eagle over. Oh, Michael Grady is the one getting paid, chat. Shout out. We got him going to NBC and Amazon in the mix. Yeah, Eric Collins going to Amazon is great. Kevin Harlan over at Amazon is going to be fun as well, too. This is definitely the highest energy lineup with those 2 guys. I mean, hey, yo. That's going to be crazy. Can we get Gus Johnson over calling games on Prime as well? Stan Van Gundy, Brent Barry, and Del Curry as the analyst lineup, chat. Dwayne Wade, Candace Parker. Hey, yo, chat. Candace Parker is going to be the A-team. She better be the A-team analyst. Looking at this group, chat. Hey, yo. It is what it is. We'll have to see. I mean, Del Curry's a veteran, but... And Del Curry's great call. I mean, Del Curry and Eric Collins, I guess you just get the team, chat. It is what it is. And the chemistry that is there, they've called games together in the past for sure. So, we definitely trust him. High ceiling, high floor for sure. But yeah, I think and for the national games, I guess is Prime just doing Charlotte games in there? I'm not sure. But we want Kevin Harlan and Candace Parker as the A team. I think is definitely the best one that they could run out there for sure. So I guess those are the 3 networks running the NBA this year. Shout out. So yeah, we will, I guess, wait, was Taylor Rooks in this list, chat? Am I crazy? Is Taylor Rooks not doing NBA coverage this year for any of these? Do these networks need to hire Taylor Rooks? I mean, they definitely do. But, I mean, I can't believe we're the ones having to give them the idea here. Wait, we have to double check, chat. We can fact check ourselves and see what's going on. Wait, where's Taylor Rooks at? I don't know why I got the idea that, I mean, I guess because, she does cover the NBA. Pause. But do we just Google Taylor Rooks, chat? I guess, I don't know. We're going to start getting in trouble again. But, okay, it's on commercial. We might have to. But, yeah, we do have... I guess a fun group of people either way calling these games. It's going to be, a good year, like we said. We are excited for. I guess we said we could look up Bob Myers and maybe not getting any, fall down any rabbit holes that we don't need to. He is, like we said, leaves ESPN, joins Harris Blitzer group as president of sports. So I'm sure, Josh Harris over there owns a couple more things than just the sports teams. But hey, yo. But in terms of the Harris Blitzer sports and entertainment portfolio, so yeah, the 76ers are in here, chat. And I don't know why I feel like we just need to talk about the 76ers. But do we feel bad that their fans are kind of bummed out as well, too? Because they maybe feel like where Indianapolis was a little bit going into the season, where all of the fans are just bummed out about what is, what the potential of the year is. But you kind of look over the roster and go, well, okay, I don't know if you should be totally bummed out. And obviously now, looking at the Colts being 6-1, it's much easier to be like, oh yeah, it's a good team. I can't believe we were ever thinking that they were going to be bad. Daniel Jones is obviously good. Like, yeah, we watch him play. We've known it all these years. But Philly is a team that I was just thinking about again, I don't know, we were randomly thinking about Philly, but we're pro Embiid on this pod as well too. We miss Embiid as a star. We need Embiid back, and I guess for just what would be like a fun, overachieving expectation type of thing to happen in the NBA this year, like Philly overachieving would not only be, I think, fun, but I think there is a path there that, is a little bit, I don't know, a little bit more realistic than we think, but it is a lineup that if you look at the best version of what their lineup could be, it is good. So I guess, or is it now become like an Instagram post of like, Paul George, prime, do we get prime Paul George? But I guess, Chad Caruso to the corner to nobody. That wasn't even or was that Hartenstein? Ayo, I guess we're not getting our white guys mixed up there. Ayo, shout out to Hartenstein, but, or Caruso, or which one, but, you just missed Caruso on the pass a little bit. Now, I guess Caruso was cutting. I don't know if that was to Caruso, though. Or maybe Caruso thought it wasn't. But either way, out of bounds to nobody. Is that a Koji chat for 3? Somebody just got a 3 to go. I think it is. Shout out. A Koji is maybe, again, an Udoka guy for this team. Udoka's favorite lineup is going to be Josh Okogie, Dorian Finney-Smith, Kevin Durant, Tari Eason, and Reed Shepherd with Tari Eason at the 5-year and 4. I mean, there's that could be a good lineup against the Blazers. They're cooking the Blazers with that lineup. Make no mistake. Oh, Svengoon fires away from 3. Rockets up by 4, chat. No Shea in the game, and this is where the Jalen Williams piece hurts as well, too, because you don't have the second offense. And to be honest, chat, is this an interesting spot to be in? Pause. This early in the season, game 1, like without Jalen Williams, I mean, we start taking away the Thunder's best players. We're like, guess what? They're not as good, but they are, the way that they're being talked about right now is, of course, on those dynasty levels. Sorry to Bob Myers and the Sixers, I guess. We'll get back to them later. But pause. But, the what, like we were saying going into this, is this the era of OKC that they're going to start to dominate the league and now win all these titles? And it's just sort of that NBA math or just, I guess, the athlete math timeline. This is supposed to be how they work, where every year these players get better. And if you're already this good enough to win the title, and you're just going to obviously get better next year, and, nobody else, I think, got better as well, too, in a major way. I mean, you could go to Denver and some stuff, and I'm sure, again, now we're just being, we're just making a point there a little bit. But, with nobody raising up enough in a, crazy, like, I guess until we watch how this Houston games plays out, they get Dorian Finney-Smith back. But, again, the basketball math is going to be, they're going to win a couple titles here with how good and, the upside that they still have. But it is, of course, becoming more and more difficult to win those back-to-back titles. And, again, maybe we're just waiting for the next team to run the league. But it's not like it wasn't uncommon before we hit this stretch where it didn't start to really happen. Because, again, this is kind of where you go back to the 70s and kind of, I guess, we had that 60s to 70s run there from Russell to the Magic Bird era. And then, we go Magic Bird kind of through Steph Curry and, obviously LeBron as well, too. Hey, LeBron people. But Steph Curry, the most recent title of those players. So, all the way up until that run is basically the, who runs the league questions answered. The players are pretty obvious. But even still, that Warriors is almost in a new sort of separate era of this, new champion every year type of situation. But Yeah, the chances of repeating are just really difficult. And it wasn't even the hot take here, but it wasn't even the chances of repeating that I was thinking about going into the season. I was like, are they going to repeat? Because, but again, we all know that that's super difficult to do. So even if this team is supposed to get better, and even if it is, again, the smart pick, like, it's gonna be the Thunder are not gonna be a team that's not in contention. So it's not wrong to pick the Thunder to win the title, but are they actually gonna again win the back-to-back titles and have the back-to-back playoff runs? It is, of course, like we're saying, just a very difficult thing to pull off. But the 60 win over under was something that I was looking at, being like, I mean, and again, are they gonna be 8 games worse than last year? But I was trying to think of teams that even won 60 games 2 years in a row, and I'm sure there's, it's like, the Bird Celtics or, any of the Celtics teams, Lakers teams, whatever. But, I'm sure, did San Antonio win 60 games 2 years in a row? I guess here, we'll just double check the Spurs history here and see what's going on. They got 61 and then 50 and then 58, 62. So 67, 61 is the best that they ever did in the regular season back to back, but lost in the semis and lost in the Western Conference Finals. So they did have good playoff runs those years, but they weren't necessarily, again, repeat champions as well too. So definitely not the same amount of rounds. Pause. But 59 and 63, that is pretty close as well too, and that is winning the finals but losing the conference semis the next year. 59 and 62 as well is right on the cusp, and they again wouldn't have been in the finals as well too, because that would have been pre-Duncan in those Robinson years. So I guess technically they have done it once. Pause. They've almost accomplished it 2 times. But let's see if we can just get like a season most wins in a season leaderboard for these teams pulled up here. Playoff leaders. There's got to be a team stats page somewhere. Finals leaders. Other leaders. There's no team stats here, chat. Hey, yo. I could have sworn that we had one. Okay, I guess we'll just have to go to the stat head real quick. Forgive us, chat. We may have to log in real fast. We may have to mute the screen, log in. Oh, we're already going to lose attention to the game. I already know it. Okay, chat, wait. Give us a second. We're getting there. You can mute the screen. Unfortunately, our stat head login is not for public consumption, even though that means we just challenge somebody, and make no mistake, they'll figure it out. We're not doubting you there, but at least it's like, hey, maybe just, well, I guess don't accomplish it for yourself, because, we don't want anybody hacking our stat head. Fake news chat's gonna be like, there's fake stats from Rem's account. Hey, yo, we don't want to be spreading misinformation like that. But, that's not the thing we want to be spreading, I guess, chat. Pause. Misinformation. Nobody wants to spread misinformation. Hey, yo, that's not a good thing to be doing. But here we go. We can now find the most win totals, most 60 win teams years in a row. Hey, yo, it's so historic we don't even know the right way to phrase it. But it does not seem like something that, again, lock it in. This team is just going to get to that number 20 in a row. So again, you can win 58 games, 10 games worse. That's still, you can be the best team in the league and win 58 games. It's a great season. You win the finals, who cares? Like, I guess, yeah, it's not the best team of all time. But again, still, mission accomplished. Like, you were the best team in the league, and you need that for the home court advantage, and you got the title out of it, and it all sort of worked out. But doesn't feel like that total. So this year we did also have, this past season, I guess, we had 3 teams with 60-plus wins. We had OKC, Boston, and Cleveland. In Cleveland, they could also be, again, a great regular season team and a great playoff team this year. I mean, Boston probably not going to get to 60 wins again this year, but could still definitely maybe hit an over. That's for sure. So, Boston, I guess it has been Boston these back-to-back years. But I guess Boston did win the finals 2 years ago. So they do have the back-to-back. But then they didn't win the finals as well, too. So, again, that's the extra layer that we're saying. I think we all kind of understand that, every year, even making that run again just gets a little bit more difficult and more difficult. But Boston was the last team. Okay, Golden State with Durant and Curry. I guess not Durant, but Curry and this, the 73-win team, we should say. And then, getting Durant as well, too. Winning 67 the next year. So San Antonio. So I guess two teams did do it. Pause twice as well. So I guess, chat, we could maybe use that to say that, OKC and Cleveland could potentially win 60 games in a row this year. I was curious to see what, again, the odds of both those teams going the back-to-back like that is. But, within the last 10 years, it has happened. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing to happen in an NBA season. San Antonio, a couple of seasons there in between. We got Boston in 7 and 07-08 and then 08-09. Cleveland 9 and 10 with LeBron. But again, this playoff success didn't quite make the finals as well for those seasons. So, maybe Chicago. Chicago probably did it. 96, 97, 97, 98. Chicago and maybe Utah as well, too. Okay, so Chicago and Utah have both done it. Golden State and San Antonio have been two teams 2 years in a row winning 60 games. So, yeah, Chad. Never mind. OKC is going to be back. Give them all the rings, Chad. How many? Is this like a LeBron Heat situation where it's not 1, not 2, not 3? I mean, OKC might just start stacking them up at this point. But, I guess, again, I was curious more from a betting standpoint. It's like, is there value there? And I mean, there still is. Again, 57, 58, 59, those are all great win totals to have. And Cleveland and OKC could both be there. Great seasons, 1 seeds, it all worked out. It could be totally fine. But, I guess there is a little bit of precedent for some of these other teams accomplishing that as well. But regardless, again, the back-to-back thing has been a little bit of something that is becoming a trend the other direction, where we haven't seen a team accomplish that in a while. And like we've said as well, the sort of early exits from the playoff teams that we've had, or just, the teams maybe not making the playoffs as well, too. I don't remember. The Lakers missed the playoffs the year after they won the title. But I think they were pretty injured in that first round if they did end up making it. So it's the odds that we've had a champion repeat by the time we get to playoff time as well, too, do feel a little bit smaller than they have in the past. So OKC maintaining that same competitiveness all the way throughout does feel like something that could happen more likely than it has the past couple of seasons. But Houston is up 1 in this first half. So again, literally no Jalen Williams, who is not arguably their best player, obviously. Shout out to Shea. He's good enough in his own right. But is, arguably as good as putting up numbers as their best player. Like, can match their best player in point total. So, if they're losing this game by 1, I think Jalen Williams is worth 1 point in our minds. But is it changed the course of the game enough that the Rockets are now losing the game? But again, just his creation and his ability to sort of swing this defense around and attack off the dribble, or be that secondary playmaker on defense, are all just incredibly major losses for this team. So I guess MVP for Jalen. Has the team ever had the same guy or different guys win the MVP 2 years in a row? Same team. I don't know, Chad. I'm sure, again, there's like a Bird, McHale. I don't think McHale ever won the MVP. I think he won 6th Man of the Year. But Magic Kareem situation where both those guys won it in 5 years. Duncan Robinson, no, he hasn't. But Duncan and Robinson, I don't think it quite happened that way as well. 3-point game. Durant with a smile on his face, chat. I mean, take note, Rockets fans. It is maybe the only time this year that you're going to see him that happy. Make no mistake. It's a short-lived run, these Durant years these days. He is moving through teams, chat. It is what it is. But, yeah, the the like we're saying, the reunion of him and Adams, and now to have him and Harden both going on to this Rockets franchise as well too, and Westbrook, to have all of those OKC guys play for that franchise is kind of interesting. I don't know. There's not like a same sort of. There is a little bit of a rivalry because I think of the Harden trade initially, and just that being a thing that sort of hangs over the team. And fortunately, I guess he did go back to Houston. They traded him again for enough to be able to make up for it. But they, the still getting Durant 4 good years, and then maybe getting good years out of Westbrook as well too, is a fun sort of franchise crossover between these two teams where, we don't have sort of, obviously the longevity and the player movement the same way that we do now back then. But I don't know if we had, guys jumping around like this to the same sort of teams as well. Wade did play for Cleveland, but it's not like Bosch ever played for Cleveland as well too. So, it's one player off. But regardless, I guess not going to be the highlight of the Houston franchise. Probably the Westbrook era. Anyways, we'll see. I guess what the Durant era ends up being, and it could be a very good highlight as well too. We're not saying that it won't. We're just saying that will it match like the Hakeem level era for Houston? Probably not. And shout out to Hakeem, who, of course, if we didn't love him enough already for just being one of the coolest basketball players of all time, the way he's maybe helped Wembanyama level up his footwork game as well too is something that we really had to start thinking for as well. A strong, good footwork Wembanyama, chat. I mean, hey, this could be. I mean, we could be at 18 a game this year. If he's up over 22, 23 points a game, then we would be. I mean, for us, that'd be a really good checkpoint for him to get to. And, obviously maintaining some efficiency there as well. But I guess, the point being, like we were saying, I guess maybe even earlier with this Rockets team, was the fact that OKC maybe isn't quite, if they're only down the one guy, and no Isaiah Joe as well too, so he's a good perimeter spacer, good 3-point guy to have out there. But if you're down the one major player, and your team against even just this Houston team is looking a little, iffy / gettable in this game, then maybe that does say that you're just not obviously a lock top end type team, the way that they're kind of just being thrown around on these lists are, and the sort of historic expectations are just being immediately placed on them for them to be able to accomplish a back-to-back title. Jalen Williams for 3, chat, goes out of the basket. And again, you have things that just break your way the year you win the finals. So it could be as simple as nobody gets hurt one year and then everybody gets hurt the next. I mean, literally happens all the time, for sure. But for this first half, as it winds down, Durant, chat, Dort. Oh, Durant has had some clean ISOs today. I mean, as you would expect, but he has just right in the face of the face of the defender, gotten some of these jumpers to go. Definitely a more fun, obviously, element than the Rockets have had, but just to have that offensively is the most and reliable as well too. Obviously, it's the most reliable thing that they've had on this team so far. So Sengun once again buries the 3, and with a minute 40, we've got Houston with an 8-point lead, chat. So OKC a little quiet right now. J-Dub for 3, it bounces out. And that's what I'm saying. You need things to break your way. Sometimes they bounce in. Sometimes the foul calls are just all in the perfect alignment for you to be able to get it to go. Sometimes maybe early situational stuff that happens early in the year dictates as well too what could potentially affect somebody's mindset on it. But Sengun, now with a couple of high arcers, has been kind of deadly on the pick and pop as well too, to the point where he has been giving Chet the problems. And we were wondering if them attacking him off the dribble a little bit, trying to go around him would have been the way to manage. But for so far for this part, he has seemed like the game plan is doing okay for now. But but the Rockets, like we're saying, pulling away, and the stats on their lineup is not just, again, stats as well too. And it's fun to say that lineup, because of how scary it could be, just looking at it, pause, could be a good matchup for OKC, but they obviously are with their defense and their energy as well too, and they can match the way that they play in these games. And again, they would be maybe even a little bit better at it because their guys are more athletic and bigger, pause, as well too. So again, it just all depends on what you get at a given time. But reviewing chat, Zarba absorbing up review, Zach Abzarba up in some review time on this one. What are we even checking for? A Svengoon barely elbow as well. Check out an elbow on both temples that time, chat. Pause. One Svengoon, one Bari Smith. Hey, yo. It is what it is. We'll see if Zarba kicks anybody out. Somebody challenge that? Hey, yo, who's challenging these, chat? I mean, I guess you lose one at the end of the first anyways? You might. Because otherwise, hey, yo. What are we doing here? Giving up on those opportunities, chat, is crazy. But 90 seconds left in the first half. So OKC, they get their scorers back in, and that is a swing moment for this team. Bench scoring and generating offense with that second unit is going to be something that if they were to potentially try to push one of the stash guys into a different role, then maybe they try to get him to figure it out there. Or, again, you just kind of figure it out as it happens, pause. But Durant now with Shea on him, who has played good defense in this first half. And Amen, once again, he looked good late in that first quarter attacking the basket, but just hasn't quite gotten to those spaces on the court, as he hasn't even gone to really attack those spaces on the court the way he has on some of his other projects. And the sort of effort overall is at an interesting place to be at right now. But we've got the Svengoon Chet matchup that they're trying to work offensively. They go Steven Adams. Oh, chat. And then there's Durant. That time the ball movement into a little mid-range jumper is not, again, that three, but at least into a pull-up jump shot is easy setup for Durant, which is the goal anyways. Can Chet answer? Not quite. So yeah, for going for things for alignment, again, they were making threes for a large part of last year. They were converting turnovers at an insane, historic, I'm going to say, rate, with, and to their due respect, with how elite they were at it. But between that and some of these other ones here, it does get a little closer there. So yeah, Chet. Hey, yo, no Scalabrini in this studio crew. It's just Mello, T-Mac, Vince Carter, Maria Taylor on the call. You love the shout out and the respect to the team. It is what it is. But Chet now has picked up the foul. Oh, Chet. Tough stuff for Chet. Sending Svengoon to the line. Hey, we've got Svengoon with a chance to continue to put on the lead here, up by double digits. If it is something that, and already are. Oh, wait a second. With this one potentially could be, so that could be something that is just maybe a little farther down the priority list. But we've got 5 seconds for Svengoon to, after these free throws, for the Rockets to set up a shot. So 10 points. Oh, Do we go the foul situation here? Hey, yo. So he picks up his first. Is OKC going to be in the bonus? I was like, Chad, we got to wait and just see. Okay, no. So they have it to give. Run a little bit of clock. Don't let him take the full timeout for a shot. The pump fake. Oh, no way, chat. There's no way a 4-point play to end the half. Kenrick Williams. Oh, AJ Mitchell, chat. Oh, hey, yo. IT, cut that out. AJ Mitchell, who we do have stock in, so that does, prove our draft stock nicely. I guess he's one of those draft and stash rotation guys we were talking about. But you got a Koji flying in for an undisciplined closeout. And AJ Mitchell's going to get a 3-pointer to make this a 4-point play. So you go into the half with a potential double-digit lead. And now all of a sudden you're like, wait, we're up 6? What just happened there? Literally as time expired, you lost 4 points. So they're going to review it, but, I mean, I don't know. I guess Zarba is... I feel like I stick with the call guy mostly. So, yeah. I feel like they got the foul on Okogie. Hey, yo, 51-57 is a game, chat. 47 to... And just to get to the 50-point threshold in the half as well, too, is a fun accomplishment for him. I think that, for the way that both these teams played, they are feeling, for game 1, pretty good. But the way that you potentially close out those final few points there is a little bit disappointing from the team. But hey, yo, chat, we will take a quick break, and then second half, of course, after halftime, we were not going anywhere. Make the mistake, but second half we've got hopefully a continued battle in this one. Players elevating, chat. I mean, it's NBA opening night, so honestly, they could just literally just have these guys running around a little bit, and it'd be okay. But seems like they're giving us a real Western Conference playoff type of game for this one in a little, in a littler environment of that way there. But they will only have 0.7 back on the clock after this foul. So at least enough time to get a little tip. But pause. Whoa. Hey, yo. We might just throw a break right now, chat. We have to go to timeout. But, oh! And then almost makes the full court jumper. I don't even know if we would have gotten it off in time. But would have been a great highlight to almost not highlight for week 1 of the season. But highlights, chat. Speaking of, up next. And then we've got second half of Rockets Warriors, the NBA's opening game. The defending champions, the ring ceremonies, chat. They're talking, they're ready to go. And some of these teams out here are ready to stop them. It is what it is. So second half, we'll see. Is Houston one of them, chat? Are they up for the challenge? 57-51 is a great start. No Van Fleet, no Finney Smith. They're depleted, chat. Shout out. You got to respect it. So we'll be right back, chat. Don't go anywhere. Second half, NBA, game 1, up next. All right, chat, we are back. Rockets up 6. Let's stat check real quick what happened actually in the first half. Do our eyes deceive us, chat? Or does the box score back up what we saw? Durant, of course, 14 points, 6 for 11. So 11 attempts. Definitely, you want to see, of course, Durant be the lead shot taker on this team. So that felt good. There, pause. I don't know if it necessarily seemed overly balanced in that type, or, unbalanced in that type of way. Because, again, you do have, over the course of just all of these guys playing, everybody at least getting multiple shot attempts up. So, again, that just kind of speaks to the Rockets kind of moving up, pause a lot. I mean, 43 attempts in a first half does feel both ways. Does just feel like a lot of offense in general. And I guess, a lot of efficiency as well, too. We got 46% from the field for Houston, and this one's not too, well, it's not too bad. But Durant, 6 for 11, and Amen Thompson, 4 for 10. 0 for 5 from 3. So, again, he's going to be, I would assume, speaking of that 7 to 8 range earlier, like we were talking about for Jabari Smith, like, he's probably going to be in that 7, maybe that's a little bit too aggressive. Maybe, like, first half, 4 to 5 a game. And then if he's not feeling it, and this is maybe, again, hopefully, like, first 20 games as he continues to change up what he's doing. But for now, we'll just flag it as it starts the season. But free throws as well, too. We got multiple guys getting to the free throw line, 10 for 10 for the free throw line for them. Shai Gilgeous only the 1 trip in the first half as well. So that was something that definitely was, and maybe it's not something that we notice right away when it's not happening. Oh, Shai's not foul hunting. But it did seem obviously a little less foul hunting now that we see that is, the way that the box score played out. Him just kind of driving in those slow pump fakes and working the defender one-on-one, and the way that he was breaking down guys and getting those fouls. And we didn't necessarily give him the Harden we didn't give him the James Harden comparison, is what we're trying to say there, because I guess maybe we like him more. His Instagram captions are cooler. I'm not sure. And his, the way that Harden gets the usage percentage, we understand that that's a little bit of a different level as well, too. And Shai does have a good balance, and he plays defense as well. So, if James Harden played defense, he would have won a title, chat? I don't know. But the way that he was in control, like the way that we're saying, Harden was, or the way that he would break down those defenders in that one-on-one aspect as well, too, and not say in a ball-stopping way, but at least in those possessions as well, too. Again, it is Harden-esque, so that's the brilliance of Shai, is he has elements of some of these, of a lot of these scorers in his game, but he does, obviously have the foul hunting aspect there as well, too. But it was Chet with 18 that was really cooking, and 7 for 9, Chet. So AJ Mitchell, just in general, firing away threes is kind of what has kept him in this game, honestly. at 12 points. So, that's, Shai could turn up in the second half for sure. He could. But, for now, that has been up there with the main part of their offense. So, Caruso, 1 for 2 to start is not necessarily, a crazy volume there. Ousmane Dieng, the only person to not play for the Thunder, is a little bit concerning. And again, they're only 5 for 20 for the three-pointer. So, again, it's just the fact that a lot of things have to go right for you to win the title. And you think about even the last time that Oklahoma City, the last time that Golden State won those back-to-back titles. Again, they went to the finals, literally made it to the finals 2 years in a row, had a better season after making the finals and winning the finals the next year in that regular season. They, of course, win over the Cavs the first time. Kyrie and Love are hurt, and Dellavedova has a couple of nice moments, but they're able to win in 6. And then the next year, of course, OKC wins their 73 games and get all the way to Game 7 with a lead 3-1 in the finals at some point, and just quite run out of steam. LeBron is one of the great performances that we've ever seen. And, even that is as close as you can get, like we said, in winning the 60 games in a row. And it just still is, again, there's literally one bucket difference between winning the final and losing the finals. And unfortunately, they were on the wrong side of that. That I guess could be OKC this year. Ayo. But yeah, again, the 17-18 season as well, this team is just a different level of stacked than this OKC team is, with all due respect to the stars that OKC has. And they can be really, really great stars. Like we're saying, they're missing Jalen Williams tonight. Jalen Williams could be an all-NBA level player. He could be a second-team all-NBA guy this year if the Thunder are, if they are another 58-plus win team. Again, Ayos, are they going to win 60 games? Maybe we just can't quite say it competitively, Chad. I'm not sure. Is OKC going to win 50 games today, or 50 games this year? Ayo. But was he second or third team last year? He may have already been second team last year. Just again, with them being such a good team, I don't know if he would have been quite like unanimously a top 10 player, but he was third team. So I guess again, the move for him second team. I mean, LeBron's sciatica, like Jalen Williams, there's the spot right there, chat. Ayo, pause. That'll be his second team. And even if Curry was in a third team slot this year, I don't think that would be disrespectful to where he's at in his career at this point. And I guess maybe that wouldn't be and that would still actually probably be a pretty good Warriors season. If Steph Curry's third team All-NBA, maybe that's a bad Warriors season. Maybe that means the Warriors were terrible and Steph was just awesome. And it's like, well, put him on third team. So maybe second team means the Warriors are still a little bit good and Steph is good. I don't know. But, you got like Mitchell on first team last year. I guess Tatum on first team last year. So, Steph could be on first team in the Tatum spot, or Brunson or Edwards, I guess, could move up to first team. Probably, probably Anthony Edwards would be a good guess as well, too. Kamara, chat, Tumani Kamara goes second team all defense to first team all NBA. A natural jump, obviously. But, for some guys, I guess depends. Zubats, Jalen Williams, hey, we just missed the guy in the list. One of these guys, if we told you going into the year that somebody from second team all defense is going to make first team all NBA, would you guys bet Jalen Williams or Tumani Kamara? Would you bet Jaren Jackson or Tumani Kamara? And speaking of Zubats, you probably would bet Zubats over. Actually, Zubats is not a bad bet either, to be totally honest. But first team seems a tad rich for Zubats. But could he be on an All-NBA team? You could definitely see a path for sure to hit. I guess, again, now trends a little bit more top 15 guys versus him just being a standard center in the league. And hopefully Wembanyama's healthy enough as well, too. And I guess, speaking of all defensive guys jumping up, you do have Evan Mobley being one of the two. So shout out, I guess that is something interesting to look at just in general. I don't know what that means for MVP conversation in these greater award stuff, but it does mean that there is that two-way aspect that does, even boost your overall game up a little bit as well, too, where neither of these guys, of course, again, are maybe individually the best offensive players. Like Jalen Williams is definitely advancing a little bit more than Mobley is, but because, again, they're so good defensively, it just raises their status in the league. So those are the two guys last year that were on both the all-defensive and the all-NBA teams as well. So again, like Giannis has been there in the past, and I don't know if that's only reserved for MVP caliber guys necessarily, but I guess Hakeem would also be one. Tim Duncan. So again, maybe we just trend toward the names that would be that. I guess did Kobe made some all defensive teams, right? And also some all NBA. So in 24 was Davis all NBA and all defense. Davis was. So I guess he hasn't necessarily won an MVP, but he was a Finals MVP as well. So I guess Jalen Williams already won a Finals. So it'd be more Mobley for that sake of the argument if we were trying to make a case that way. Bam hasn't been all NBA yet, though. He is a sleeper for all NBA this year. If he has, he could sneaky get the volume to be like 25 a game, and if the Heat are winning some games, then somebody's got to give the credit. So shout out there. Of course, if he and we're excited to see, and just that motivation, Ayo chat. But I guess we'd have to take the Josh Allen sort of off-season boost we thought he was going to get. I don't know if he's quite carried it into this year, but he's been pretty good. I mean, we can't complain about Josh Allen's season. So I don't know. Is Bam locked in for a great year with some of the extra offseason motivation? that he has received. I'm not sure, but yeah, I guess either way, what we were saying is we were saying something about Jalen Williams originally, his scoring, and I guess his importance with Shea as well too. I guess for their talent compared to Durant and Steph's. Hey yo, again, hot take, but that Durant and Steph team is just incredibly talented. So again, this is really, I guess, that kind of season to see if they're on that level. And maybe we are disrespecting Jalen Williams a little bit. Because again, hey yo, welcome to the REMINGTOM pod. We talk stuff out here sometimes, for sure. So, if they obviously do achieve that, it does put them on that level. But to think of the ones that have achieved that, again, it is Steph and Durant. It's, you go back to Miami, LeBron and Wade. I guess maybe Powell and Kobe would be a little bit more on that level. And then, Shaq and Kobe, of course, won their 3 in a row at the turn of the century. Jordan and Pippen. So, Shea with the Jordan comps in the way the stats looked on the box score last year. Maybe, Jalen Williams continues to get the sort of Scottie Pippen comps as well, too. Because he could have the Scottie Pippen season that, Scottie Pippen had without Jordan and maybe playing the playoffs as well, too. Hey, yo, Chad, we didn't have to say that. Everybody knew that was there as a comment to make. So, maybe it's too obvious at this point. But Detroit as well, too. Isaiah and Joe Dumars. Maybe that would be that could be a comparable, sort of duo as well, too. And not to try to find way is Shea not as good as, MJ or whatever. Hey, yo. I know that's crazy, obviously. But, again, you have, Jokic right now trending towards some of these other, is he going to, you got Simmons talking about him with being on the Magic Bird level if he has again, another great year this year. And not say that that's not accurate. But, also, could there be another guard at some point that enters the top guard conversation? And we're like, okay, now we have to argue MJ, Kobe, and Wade and Shea in the mix. And I know by the time we get to Wade as well, too, we're probably not really arguing MJ versus Wade. That's probably more of a, all-time draft value conversation. Do you just take MJ 1 or, Dwayne Wade in the 5th? I don't know how many teams are in this draft, but I guess, again, that would be, are they these teams that we've seen these last couple of years? Because they also have really good, second best player duos. And Jokic and Murray is the example, of course, that would pop to mind first. And I think Jalen Williams, again, defensively has a little bit more upside than Jamal Murray and just is a little more versatile as well, too, as a forward. But offensively, it's, you can't really say that Jalen Williams or that Murray is a worse offensive player than Jalen Williams. I get Jalen Williams, again, is maybe capable of a little bit more just in terms of variety type stuff. But at his best, and he just hasn't had the injuries that Murray's had at this point as well, too. So, we're going current moments in their career. But at their best, again, what Murray's been able to accomplish in the playoffs and at the highest moments is tough. So, Rockets up 13, chat. Amen Thompson attacking. And, again, we're talking about Jalen Williams being a forward versus a guard and how that matters in the league. And it'll matter in a game like this. It will matter in a game like this, having just another forward player like that as well, too. But you think about when the Rockets get Finney-Smith back, that's not Fred VanVleet, shout out. That is another big wing player like this as well, too. So that is something that is really going to be a factor against OKC. And that's what we said going into this game, chat, is this is, from a matchup standpoint, the most interesting, I think, matchup. And I think, Wemby as a person, individually, of course, is maybe just the most interesting individual in the league this year, the most captivating talent in the league. I mean, can we say that, chat, unbiasedly? Probably not. But also, can we take an unbiased call? IT said we got a caller on the phone right now. Is Wemby the most interesting player in the league? Scott from Tampa. Yes, Wemby's the most interesting player in the league. So, the fans agree. Thanks for calling, Scott from Tampa. But, we do have, from a matchup 5v5 standpoint, a lineup that you can throw out there against what just OKC was, again, doing stylistically last year. Stylistically, the way they could overwhelm teams this Rockets lineup was like maybe they could overwhelm the OKC team, and I don't know if San Antonio again as a team quite has that. They definitely could, because again Wemby can equal two guys in that aspect. Hey yo, but Castle has that defensive upside as well too, and it's not like Harper couldn't be a really good defender if he didn't want to be. I don't know if he is going to be an all defensive level defender where, again, OKC does have that extra level where, and Shea even as well too. I think Shea could be an all defensive level with the way he's locking. I think he's even, in maybe again we were just being like watching that OKC run a little jealously, being like, okay, are they actually going to win the title before before it was San Antonio? I guess so. The team has been built as well too, but I think he's locking up on the perimeter even a little bit better in some of these matchups than he was last year at times, but obviously at times. But that's the way we make the point correct, Chad. Hey, there was a couple moments last year where he was not playing as good as defense in this game. But in terms of, the highest upside that they have for defenders, Dort, Caruso, Cason Wallace, Jalen Williams was on all defense, and maybe Shea has been as well too, but he led the league in steals. So all those guys could be all defensive level players. Okay, is Dylan Harper quite going to be that? Is Vassell quite going to be that? Is Keldon Johnson quite going to be that? I don't know, but Houston would be close as well too. Again, I don't know, is Jabari Smith going to be all defense, but maybe he gets there this year. And Sengun can be a decent interior defender in certain matchups. Adams, stout in the middle for sure. Pause. But Chad, speaking of Shea and MJ, there's the stats. Scoring title on NBA champion, same season, last 5 instances. 3 times it was MJ, then Shaq, and then Shea. Hey yo. So maybe Shaq's the most impressive one there, being not a guard. I don't know. But, Shea, the newest one to the list as well, too, is going to look a little out of place, not having built the legacy in the same type of way. But I guess, to continue what we were saying, and the Raptors would be the Raptors aren't interesting. And, every team has their own scenarios. But I guess even Boston is actually probably a better example that was sitting right there than Denver. Denver, the sort of overall contributions of Jokic and Murray, of course, equal anybody. Shout out to Jokic there. And again, Murray's obviously great as well too. But in terms of comparing A to A and B to B, Tatum and Brown, of course, is a much better comp. And, they were awesome last year. Again, 60 wins, very vaunted team. Unfortunately, again, speaking of injuries, you do have Tatum, getting injured as well too. But he got injured at a point in the playoffs where there was, definitely like, okay, they're not totally out of it, but it did feel like regardless of whether or not he had played that series, the Knicks were going to get the better of him that year. I mean, do we have to go back and double check, chat? Hey, yo, they definitely lost in the playoffs to the Knicks last year, right? Or, I guess this is the year they won the finals. Speaking of, but yeah, the Knicks in 6. So, hey, yo, dropping bars. But you do have, again, it did seem like a decisive win for New York despite the Tatum injury, which is the thing, of course, that New York fans are upset gets taken away a little bit. But, they didn't quite, even though from a regular season standpoint, if we were going back to that aspect of it, over-unders betting standpoint, clearly, again, there is precedent for them to have that kind of achievement. But it is just a extra level that we haven't seen these other teams quite get to, in a little bit of an extra competitive league, is achieving that 1-2 status, getting that back-to-back. So maybe we have to give them more credit if they win as well too. Is it tougher environment? I don't know if it's quite, tougher environment than the 90s, but, again, there is a balance of talent in the league that is obviously very impressive. So a couple of buckets here from OKC midway through the third, 63-57, and they do start to get back into this game a little bit, where it looked like could the Rockets turn this one into a little bit of a landslide. And again, without Jalen Williams, it'd be nice. It would make sense for them to be like, okay, if the game's not going our way, let's not try to do too much here. Let's just live to see another day. Again, we could be a really good team this year, so we're not going to be worried too much about, the over-under at the end of the day. But the continued fight here, of course, is impressive from that the younger team as well too, and just shows maybe the veteran status that again, do we have to sort of apply to them as well too now? Not necessarily that they're veterans, but that they've made a good playoff run like that, and they have that switch effect that we give to these teams that we trust as well too. I guess again that does happen with even more time, and they become one of these teams that we see, it's like, okay, yeah, they definitely can flip a switch. And not to say that they weren't that last year, but it was almost just, again, every game they could get to a level where they were playing so good by the end of the games at times that, again, it just felt more like a build-up in the games than necessarily like a flip being switched. But again, there would be times where it's like, okay, this is the 7-minute stretch where they're locked in defensively and just going super crazy. But you see the Rockets rotating here on some of the three-point stuff. Case and Wallace, though, does get a good look there. They are able to break the zone, so shout out. But, they're keeping up there for a second. You can see the length, being an issue a little bit. Durant now in the corner. Sengun from the perimeter. The dribble drive on Chet. So that is going to be an interesting aspect of his game to see if that, like we're saying, now they are second half game getting a little bit farther along. It's now starting to be Amen Thompson taking over a little bit more the main ball handling responsibilities. And I guess to go back to what we were saying earlier on that was, again, that's just the best way for them to play as well too, more so than it is is Amen Thompson taking the mantle from Durant. And I guess, we didn't quite finish that thought earlier, but yeah, definitely a possibility that could happen this year. In the player rankings, they're both close. Again, the two-way aspect that Amen Thompson provides and his athletic ability, is his ability to get to the basket a reliable thing, like Durant's ability to get a jumper, maybe, even though, Durant's reliability may be a little bit more, but then, like we're saying, balance that out with some of the defense and the playmaking. But even if Durant is still the best bucket getter from this team and the most reliable, hot take, the most reliable scorer end of game scenarios, stylistically, Amen Thompson creating and drawing space and using his athleticism, as a cutter as well too, like we saw, is going to be devastating. But using that in the primary ball handling role is probably going to be the best way for them to play. And that goes back to the Van Fleet injury as well too, where it's like, yes, he is an important rotation guy and his guard abilities are important over the course of a regular season, but at the end of the day, it's not, again, Amen Thompson's team. And Durant as well too is, again, even at his best, I guess you're going to run the team through him, make no mistake, but has always been a little bit of, an off-ball scorer in a way, and not necessarily the lead guy in setting other guys up as well too. So, if you had another forward version of that on the team, or, for the Celtics, I don't know if we want to talk about other guys getting hurt or whatever, but, that'd be sort of the difference between like a Jalen and a Tatum injury would be the way that Jalen, or the way that, I guess the way of both, but the way they kind of initiate offense differently for the other guys. But Amen Thompson's going to be the guy that you're going to be creating offense for other people as well as himself, and Van Fleet would be a off-the-ball guy who is going to be creating from the corner, shooting threes, defense, playmaking. And again, he can do all that stuff at a high level in a playoff series if you need him to. But if Houston needs to lean into this sort of lineup, the size lineup, that they are playing, then that does become, of course, a sort of necessary byproduct of the injury, and maybe an interesting, not good thing, you can say. Because, again, you need the depth as well, too. You want to have good players in your team. But as we all know, sort of an interesting, positive-ish result for how this injury scenario could play out as well, too. Steven Adams being wild aggressive on the closeouts tonight, chat. Hey, yo, it is what it is. He is flying around, getting the rebound, though. Getting the rebound, staying active. It is what it is. And now you got Amen Thompson attacking on Shea. And there's Shea again cutting the drive off as well. Sengun the three. So as well, too, like we were saying, how his off-ball playing off of that, creating, is going to be interesting to see how that plays as well, too. And not to say that Durant, throws a whole wrench in this thing, but it is just a balance of trying to figure out where the best ways to initiate on the court are with him and, again, spacing all those guys out around him in their best areas as well too. Case and Wallace, good attack on Durant in transition there as well, picking up the foul. And, again, so second half so far has been, I guess we're only in the third quarter, so some fouls here so far, but not too bad anyways, again, from the main guys foul hunting and stuff like that. But, yeah, this would be the season for them to start to go in that Tatum or Jalen and who's the guy there just chat? Shea? Hey, yo. Jalen and Shea. For them to ascend to that extra level of those stars that we're saying in NBA history. And for them to achieve it this young as well, too. I know that Tatum and Brown were definitely putting together those playoff resumes early on, and it was like, man, they're stacking these wins, these minutes, just all these stats at such a young age, and really impressive what these resumes are going to look like if they continue to build on this. But again, for them to get a ring this young as well too, I mean, that's where the dynasty talks that happen. But even just, I guess, the window for them to get that second one as a duo, again, the back-to-back thing obviously puts you in a little bit of a different timeline where, we saw it in the NFL where if Mahomes had three-peated there, it's like, okay, does he all of a sudden start to match Brady just on the basis of how good his prime has been and how dominant he's been, in just a few short years. So let's say that the back-to-back again is as historic as the three-peat in the NFL, but it would fast-track the status stuff in a really interesting way. Because even Isaiah is, I say even Isaiah, but, he's still a top 3 to 4 point guard of all time. We throw Jerry West and Kobe in the mix there. I guess Steph's kind of in the point guard conversation as well too. He's kind of why we're saying 3 or 4 there, because otherwise without Steph, Isaiah's probably, I guess Stockton as well too is kind of the guy that maybe starts the next tier of guards, because Stockton of course wasn't quite the scorer that Isaiah was. Even though Isaiah's not going to have the career numbers that Shea had, it's not like Isaiah necessarily couldn't get points the way that Shea could. So J-Dub actually is probably a little, and I guess this is our basketball knowledge, maybe not knowing the full aspects here, but I would say J-Dub, from our limited basketball knowledge, maybe is a little bit more talented than Dumars. Again, that could just be modern day 3-point shooting type stuff, but I would say he's a little bit more advanced offensively, and they're both really, really great defenders as well too. So that is, again, a sort of equal comp as well too historically, if we're trying to find another one there. But and Dumars is, I guess, ranked pretty highly in all the stuff for, I think, the career that he had, because, again, I think maybe Jalen's, regular season numbers and stuff have a chance to be a little bit better, and maybe even his accolades as well, too. But I'm not sure, Dumars' All-Stars and stuff like that. Okay, 6 All-Stars, 3 All-NBAs, and 5 All-Defenses as well, too. So, again, really, really strong on that side of the court as well. But yeah, his highest points per game over the course of the season was 23. So again, obviously different era, the 3-point line, the pacing, just the way that they were built as a team as well too. I'm not saying that J-Dub is way better offensively at the peak of his powers than Dumars, but I do think that he is a little bit more capable if you needed him to carry an offense per se. I don't know if Dumars was ever quite in a carry an offense type mode, but I mean, year 2, 49% from the field, 50% for 3. I guess his career, 46 and 38 is pretty good. In a couple of years at the end where the percentages dipped a little bit, if you go first 9 years of his career, I don't know if we go peak of his powers, the sort of 20-point a game run here that he had. So, but again, Williams is stacking these accolades a little bit earlier as well too. So if he had 3 to 4 all defenses and 6 All-Stars, 5 All-NBAs, that could be pretty crazy. I mean, 5 All-NBAs I think is a pretty good cutoff, as we've seen, for making the Hall of Fame at that point. So if he's got 5 All-NBAs and a title, he's kind of a lock. And I know now we're starting to stack a lot of hypothetical years on top of each other for these guys. But again, he himself, I guess, has been even more impressive because he's, Shea had a couple of those years where he had to wait to collect some of this talent. So, yeah, he's gotten, I guess this is the first year where he actually cracked the All-Star list and the All-NBAs. But, again, year 3 is a little bit quicker on that timeline and already been in that 20-point-a-game range each of the last 2 years as well, too. So, again, the injury thing is definitely not great for them as a regular season team, and you can see that maybe some of these games are going to be a little bit more competitive than they were last year. Hey, yo, Chad. Shout out to Basketball Reference trying to keep up. Is it a busy day for the league opening? Pause. It might be. It might be. We don't have numbers on the traffic here. But, yeah, we do have, again, an interesting setup here for the fourth quarter. And an ESPN that is a little bit behind as well, too. Let's see if we can get everything updated and good to go here as well. Yeah, here we go. 4-point game, 4 minutes left. Durant only 1 field goal so far in the third quarter, but he is able to get it to go. And yeah, he hasn't made threes as well too. So again, he is obviously a really efficient shooter, and you put him in Golden State, and it's like, yeah, that he's going to be a great 3-point shooter there. But him as the high volume 3-point shooter on the team is also something that he's never really been as well too. Where again, Steph is not JJ Redick off the ball running around off of screens for every 3-pointer. Obviously, he can create his own bucket, which is why he's able to take so many. But he is going to take them all as well too. He's going to take 10 plus a game, whereas Durant is going to be a little bit lower than maybe his individual talent as well too would be. But again, maybe he hasn't even gone straight to the mid-range. I guess he's been kind of all mid-range today, more so than getting around to the basket as well too. Capella at the free throw line. Shout out. But good Reed Shepherd minutes as well too. I guess, and they have, of course, again, with some injuries and with some of the talent that they've had to trade out and stuff, it's not necessarily the same sort of depth that the Rockets team has had. But, Okogie is good. But again, you already see tonight that Okogie's 6 minutes. He's not like a guy that you're super ready to throw out there in a game like this. So, minutes-wise, at least we're kind of getting to see, again, with what version of the team, no Jalen Williams, no Finney-Smith, what these rotations kind of are going to wind down to. And again, we know that OKC, Cason Wallace with the big dunk in transition. Hey, yo, the little point guard hops. Love to see it. It's not really a side of his game that he's shown so far, the high-flying aspect of it. Hey, yo, he sees Amen Thompson flying out there. Oh, Reed Shepherd. Everybody going under the screen. He's going to fire away from 3. Off the back of the rim. Wait, what's he at right now? Plus 2 for 5. So, yeah, 2 for 4 before that. Not doing too bad. Andrew, hey, yo, Aaron. Open for 3. Gets to go. So, OKC, are they back in front? No, 70-71. And it's staying like that on the ESPN as well, too. So the defense is starting to lock in. But it's getting difficult for Houston to get a bucket as well, too. This is where the Durant aspect comes into play. But you've got Dort on Durant as, again, defensive player of the year on your team, running that back. Do you have to go Caruso on Durant at some point? Oh, Durant over Cason Wallace. 0 for 3 from 3, chat. He doesn't get it to go. So we'll see if the clutch fourth quarter minutes change that. If he feels like, start making a couple of those. But the defense is going to be difficult for him to navigate and is going to be the thing that could be the separating factor here if they just continue to prove that it's like, yes, that is the thing that we are. We are the best defensive team in the league. Because like we were saying earlier, with the all defensive upside, like, who else has that? Who else is honestly, well, I guess I don't want to say who else has ever had that because, there's been some pretty great teams in NBA history. But again, to compare to the Warriors team, that would be the one thing that they would have over the Warriors team. Literally the one thing. And make no mistake, that Warriors team probably takes this Thunder team in 5 games. As good as this, and I'm not saying that they're going to win every game by 20 points. We saw that Denver team beat that Lakers team in that series they swept them and won every game by like 3 points. So it could be a good series. But make no mistake, until I see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams and at their, at this version of them take down a peak Steph and Durant, until we can get in a time machine and actually see that happen, I'm not going to believe it. So I'll pick the Warriors, the best team that we've seen offensively, but we do have to say offensively because, again, what the OKC team is accomplishing defensively is pretty crazy. And they were obviously, that Warriors team, good enough defensively to continue to get them in this great, it's why they're also a great all-time team, not just because of the offense. Same with those Chicago teams with MJ. MJ himself is obviously one of the great guard defenders that we've had in the league, not just maybe the best guard scorer of all time as well. I guess I don't know. Is it between him and Pistol Pete? I don't know what the conversation is in terms of offensively. But again, just all-rounded stuff. The playoff resume, like Jordan does have a couple of separating factors there over some of those guys. But yeah, again, Steph himself wouldn't necessarily be a guy that would probably get to the sort of all defensive level. So Durant back then definitely could have. Durant now, like we're saying, that would be a player that I don't know if he's going to get to the all defense. Tari Eason for three, he could. I don't know if he's going to get the 3-pointers to go. Reed Shepherd, could he be a better defender than Steph Curry was back then? I don't know, because Steph was a pretty good defender as well, too. So not to say that he was a bad defender by not being on all defense, but is it going to be this menacing 5-man defensive line? Again, it could be that with the fact that Iguodala was such a menacing defender and Clay was such a good defender. And, between him and Durant and Iggy, and Draymond, how do we leave Draymond out? Like, again, 4 of the 5 guys are insane defensively. But, again, Steph, like, if you're Caruso versus Steph versus Case and Wallace just defensively, like, Case and Wallace is a better defender. So we do have to give Steph credit. Again, there were times when LeBron would switch out into Steph, and Steph would at least fight and make him work, and at least there's like, burn a little clock, a little energy, the stamina bar goes down a little bit, like, at least there's something happening there. That's not just him, caving and giving up an easy score. And honestly, again, if you feel like, okay, well, LeBron's going to have to work against Steph Curry to score, like, you want that at the end of the day, but you're like, well, let's at least try a couple other matchups and see if there's a one where he's going to not have to work. And if Festus Ezeli's in the game, we'll just go there instead. But that's where they would have the separating advantage at this point. And I guess without Tatum, of course, Tatum, again, can be a really good defender as well, too. So he can add to that mix. But I guess maybe Minnesota would be one. But I don't know if you would say that Randall would be an all defense level player. And then we know with Gobert, his offensive limitations have already, as an all defensive player, cost him some minutes in the playoffs, and made lineups weird at times with his skill set. So of course Edwards and McDaniels can be those menacing two-way guys, but the Knicks can be a good defensive team. I don't know if they have 5 guys that are going to be all defensive level players, potentially. Throw them out there. So the Magic are a team that just sort of, if we're, again, specifically talking about matching up versus OKC, I do kind of like the talent of the Magic versus the talent of OKC. I don't know if the Magic are going to maximize whatever kind of version of that I'm thinking of. Or, again, Eastern Conference. Is every Eastern Conference team, I guess, as good of a matchup for the Magic as the Thunder are? That'd be a weird point to make. But we know that, playoff runs can get tricky as well, too. But if it was just the 1 seed in the regular season, we're just jumping straight to the finals and they're going to play in the finals, and Magic were the 1 seed in the East, great season for them. And then the OKC Thunder were the 1 seed in the West. I think that'd be an interesting finals series. I think it'd be an interesting 5 games for OKC. I don't know. Wiggins with the poster dunk. Hey, yo, chat. The momentum's starting to shift toward OKC. Sengun, he's going to have to make some momentum stopping time plays. I think he does get a foul call here to kind of slow the game down a little bit. He's complaining like he's not, but they're stopping the game like they're calling a foul. So I don't know what's happening there, but yeah, Wiggins, chat. Ayo, sorry to Capella, but Wiggins with the early dunk of the year. We haven't had a ton of dunks early on. Case and Wallace here in the third quarter, we've gotten going a little bit. Case and Wallace with that slam in transition, and then I guess Durant had one early on as well too. But from Durant to Case and Wallace, again, that does go to the defense where we could get those transition dunks, but these guys aren't necessarily going to be getting those easy looks at the basket as well, too, to get those type of opportunities. So, I guess even barely at the end of the third quarter here with less than a minute left, now we've started to see a couple of those times to go. But again, for the Magic, anyways, individually matching up, Franz, Suggs, Paolo, and to be honest, Anthony Black as well too, as a 4-person combo. And Bane, obviously, we can mention him too in a second. But those 4 specifically, the two-way aspect, I think is, obviously where you see where we're going with that, is something that is really interesting. And then, I guess Bane is the Steph Curry of that, for in the biggest compliment to Bane there possible. But, again, is the guy in that lineup that would fit that profile, I guess, of the 3-point shooter, but maybe not, again, the best defender, but could be above average if the guys around him obviously are, and if he locks in as well, too, in his own right, in a team defensive type way. But is the guy that offensively you could, and not to say that, again, Steph Curry, you're making sacrifices, because, offensively he's even a different level than Bane. He's both better offensively and defensively than Bane, but I think you kind of try to get the comparison we're going to outline there with the menacing defenders. And again, obviously, Iggy and Draymond are better defenders than, Suggs and Anthony Black as well, too. And, even Franz, we wouldn't say necessarily like a menacing two-way guy at this point. Crafty offensive player for sure, a lot of upside there. But at least they, again, have the versatility, the length to be able to go up against OKC. And then if it's those 4 guys, again, you do have Bane out there. I think Paolo in that small ball 5 role in that lineup is also interesting as well, too, because that's a kind of like a Jokic, but just a different spot on the court where a guy would be creating more so than a wing attacking, and just Paolo's kind of a combo of both as well, too. But again, why he's scary as well. And I would imagine that he would be another gym guy this year, where we haven't necessarily been like seeing Paolo highlight tapes, so maybe we should, but that would have been an interesting one. Where let me go to Hey, chat. Whoa, we're gonna stalk Banchero's Instagram. I guess it is what it is. Let me go to Banchero's Instagram and see do we have any workout pics. Oh man, maybe we should have done this maybe we should have done this during break. I'm not sure, but let's see. Oh, chat, we do. We have something with a medicine ball here. Oh, we got a whole YouTube. Oh, we should have known, chat. These guys, the content, Hey, what are we to judge? Oh, chat, what's this fashion magazine cover shoot that he did? This jacket is pretty sick. We got a little powder blue jacket situation. Honestly, I can't believe he's wearing this jacket. And I don't know, do we look in the comments here? Because that's Carolina blue. And this man went to Duke, so I know we're not even invested in this rivalry. But, if as a Michigan man, if they're like, hey, do this cover shoot in this red jacket, in this white undershirt, be like, can we get, is there a maize and blue option here? Maybe? I don't know if that would look as good on the cover, but, well, I mean, obviously it would. Those colors are amazing. But, powder blue. The jacket is sick. So as a non-invested fan, and he's got the dark blue underneath, it looks good. It does absolutely read North Carolina, though, more so than Duke. But the fur shorts, chat, hey, I know that we're looking at it on our phone and not on the screen here, but, hey, if you go to Banchero's Instagram, it's there. Can you guys see it? Hey, did we show you? Can you see the shorts? I mean, it is what it is. That probably looks like a much... What is Rem zooming in on there? Like, that's crazy. We probably have to cut that out. But just as a read on the outfit. Hey, just trying to, see what's going on here. But that's probably a pause too. But I guess we do have some off-season work being put in. I don't know if he's working to set up the cameras for this workout or if he's working during the workout. But, okay, year 4. We got a Paolo Media Day pick for sure. Definitely looking, like a strong Paolo in season incoming. Doesn't necessarily have the, well, Paolo's pretty strong, so we're not going to sit here and say that Paolo's not jacked. But, I don't know, do we have Paolo in just like the Hemsworth shredded, the Jonathan Majors chat? But, I guess him compared to Franz here is, you can see maybe he's in the gym more than his teammate. But regardless, I guess that is an interesting 5-man lineup interesting 5-man lineups they could throw out there, because they have the versatility with Carter as well, too, to go a little bit bigger. Pause. If Carter And he would have to take like 2 jumps up this year for them to, one, make the finals, but for them to compete in a series with OKC as well too, because Chet and Hartenstein would definitely work him at this point. But, you know, again, if they go Carter, Paolo, Franz, Suggs, and then Bane or Black, you know, if they would go defense, offense, just depending. But, or like we're saying, Paolo at the 5, or even Isaac. Like, they have the ability to match some lineups and defensively compete with the team. Again, you would, I guess, have to throw San Antonio in there, but it's still a hypothetical more so than it is a proven thing, obviously, just because it's a young team. But best version of the San Antonio, you know, I guess Wemby is just going to be an issue. But yeah, otherwise, you know, Minnesota is an interesting matchup as well too, and that would rely on, you know, like Terrence Shannon being a really good two-way player this year. Oh, chat, and the dunks are starting to pour in now. We've got another one for OKC. Sengun, transition 3. Oh, he buries it, chat. And the little foam finger 3 graphic. Hey, yo, shout out. We got to say, it's great stuff here for the NBA on NBC. They've really won us over with that little move there. It is what it is. But also, maybe it's just the excitement of Sengun hitting some of these trailing 3-pointers. Hey, yo, what's going on? Ooh, the little cut from Mitchell, who continues to just be a crafty insert player. Like, I mean, watching him right now, it kind of speaks to how good the team was, and he's probably improved in the offseason as well too, but how good that team was last year that he wasn't even really making the lineup for him as well too. I'm trying to remember whose spot did he take? Hey, yo, I guess he's in the Isaiah Joe minutes, but he is a little bit more, he's probably a little bit better ball handler than Isaiah Joe as well too, and I don't know if he's a better cutter, but he has gotten a couple of looks around the basket. So Isaiah Joe, look out. Hey, yo, Isaiah Joe, trademark it. He might be the one guy OKC actually makes a move, actually trades away. You know, Presti is either trading for picks or nothing at all. Oh, chat, they're still fighting. The Panthers and the Bruins. This time it's multiple guys involved. Hey, yo, we got some headlocks. We don't want that fight to just, you know, spiral into headlocks and guys spinning around. Yo, punches, chat. Get these guys boxing out here. Now these guys are just holding each other on the shoulder, just being like, what's going on? Hey, yo, they literally just stopped fighting and are now shoulder locked. Okay, that's I don't know if that's fake or if that's just how guys are at chat. It is what it is. But Houston still up 5. So as much as OKC has, again, sort of shifted the vibe of this game, Houston has kept the responses there, and they have been a very disciplined offensive team so far. Reed Shepherd, shout out, navigating the ball handling here over AJ Mitchell. Oh, chat, 1-on-1. I don't know if you know, turn a full court pressure situation into a driving mid-range spin away 3 or spin away mid-range shot if you're Reed Shepherd. But it was almost a good look. Almost went in. The little lob from Hartenstein to Chet. Chat, the 2-man center power forward game. Deadly there. You see the playmaking from Hartenstein being a factor. So Sengun at this point is basically taking threes, chat. Hey, yo, this might be unlocked Sengun. Sengun, the catch and shoot 3. And I guess we could look up his numbers. Not to say that, again, he didn't have the potential to have an outside element to his game. He has been a guy that can step out there and make shots. But, you know, is he going to be like Al Horford? I guess, and to go with the Udoka type team, you know, that would be again stylistically a 5 or at least a front court center power forward type player that you would need out there to continue to maintain that spacing. And here he is, chat, running a pick and roll with Jabari Smith. Ooh, chat. I mean, again, is Sengun going to score 27 a game doing this type of stuff? But it's just about his development as a player and the type of player that they need and him becoming that. Because, to be honest, again, if he wasn't that, like, make no mistake, they're trading him to get a 3-and-D wing that can become that. Because, you know, you have Jabari Smith, who, again, can play your power forward minutes. Durant can play your... Even Amen Thompson, like, with the height of all their guys, it doesn't even matter who power forward stuff type is on defense. It just becomes sort of style, you know, youth matchups at that point, and we gotta have Jabari Smith on this guy and Durant on this guy and whatever. But if Sengun needed the post-up game and was kicking out to threes, but it's not quite, Steven Adams, the spacing is just going to get weird, and Durant needs the mid-range as well, too. Again, Steven Adams, Sengun, and Durant could definitely get a little compact if that's your 3 main guys. But to have Sengun out on the perimeter working as a wing, creating, ball handling, catch and shoot threes, hey, yo, could be interesting, could be a fun development for his game, for sure. And just to see his athleticism dribbling, getting the defender like trailing there and then turning the corner. Again, I wouldn't have necessarily expected him to, take it that perimeter, I guess. But we could see that here. So could just be a fun game for him as well, too. But could he be like a Niang 2.0? I mean, I guess he already is. Hey, yo, make no mistake. Again, I don't know if there's a player draft board out there that has, just a player board that would have Niang over Sengun. But Niang is one of those like weird body type wings where he kind of plays power forward, but he is more of a 3-and-D, stretch the perimeter. You want to have him out like kind of shooting corner threes, but maybe, not doing too much offensively. And again, Sengun might be able to be capable of a little more, but like a weird body type that, or I guess Draymond is kind of in that as well too. But to be honest, like Draymond, the pick and roll ball handler stuff, it would be more like him getting into handoff situations and then him getting the roll and then creating from there more so than somebody setting a screen for Draymond. But they run a pick and roll this time. It's a Reed Shepherd Sengun pick and roll into a Sengun pull up, chat. Oh, he's taking over the fourth quarter. Hey, yo, what's his point total up to? 8 for 15 in the game. 5 for 7 from 3. He's got 28, Chad. He's got to be the high scorer. So we were saying the best player battles. Is it going to be Durant? Is it going to be Thompson? Chad, it's Alperen Sengun. Alperen Sengun's going to be first team All-NBA. Durant's on the bench, Chad. We didn't even consider that as a possibility. But there is 7.5 minutes left, so, it's definitely his time to take a break as well too. Would make sense. But I guess 28 after, he makes that free throw there. So we catch up on the box score of it as well too. But Amen Thompson with 12 and again 0 for 6 from 3. That would make him 5 for 7 from the field. So he's been good when he's not taking threes. And if he was at like 11 twos, if he was 9 for 11, I guess then, his scoring would be a little higher. Maybe he would be getting to the free throw line a little bit more as well too, because if you're taking the 3-pointers, you're losing that aggressiveness there as well. So you know what, chat? You know what the solution is for this Rockets team? If they trade Kevin Durant, they can really get some pieces. Hey, yo, they're up 5 right now on OKC, so maybe the Durant trade was the move. Maybe it could work out at the end of the day. And this is hopefully not a situation where, because again, youth, all the outside factors that would lead a team to, have a down season outside of just the sort of basketball talent combined, the OKC ability to sustain a regular season, like we're saying, is another thing that makes them, again, one of these scary teams as well too. But just this to set the tone for the season as well, for it to be like, hey, like we're saying, OKC, and I'm not trying to contradict myself to say like, hey, OKC is scary, OKC is not scary, but it's just the levels. Is OKC the undeniable 73? Are they going to win? Are they going to be 74 and 7? What 74 and 8? What's the record? 73 and 9, 72. Yeah, 72 and 10. Hey, yo, chat. Remy can't do math. But are they going to be 74 and 8 this year and just be this totally historic dominant team? Like I think what we're saying is maybe not quite that, but and maybe they are, chat. They win a game like this and then it turns out that the Houston's the only team that can keep up. Then it just shows you how good they are. I don't know, but maybe. But like I said, this just set the tone to be like, yeah, OKC obviously still good, obviously still scary. You see the defense, you see the playmaking. Again, they don't have Jalen Williams, their literal second best player, top 15, top 12 guy in the league. So a major what-if card to be able to be played in the future. But this is a tone setter. OKC still is going to have to work. the league is, and I guess just to open up a question mark on the season. It's like, okay, somebody else could emerge and win the title. And not to say that, again, it's going to be a super surprising team. If Houston were to win the title this year, would we have been shocked going into the season before seeing 3.5 quarters against OKC of them barely, not barely competing, but, before 3.5 quarters of a game against OKC, if you're like, is Houston win the title? You're like, okay, I'm not totally shocked that team won the title. I think, again, OKC, are they S tier or whatever? They're definitely not shocking if they repeat. Denver is not shocking if they win the title this year. Just Jokic as a powerhouse as well. And again, Murray hopefully is better, continues to just trend with that consistency in the right direction. And then hopefully they upgraded some of the pieces around him as well too, where it would be enough for him to continue to power that team. So if any of those three won the title, it wouldn't be surprising. If New York won the title, I don't think it would be surprising. I guess Cleveland as well too. So those four specifically go into different odds. And I guess the Clippers do have the same odds as the Rockets. But I guess, like I'm saying, I like Orlando as a matchup potentially, but I think I would be a little surprised if you're like, oh no, they actually did win the finals. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I thought, maybe it'd be fun games more so than them actually winning. But yeah, that would be sort of, I think, the start of the next year. I guess if Minnesota won the title this year, would I be shocked? The thing is, they have been such a good playoff team over the last couple of years that I think you kind of have to say no, honestly. Because the baseline for them the last 2 years is making the conference championship. So if you're telling me that they're, in a sort of OKC way, well, they have to get better, then I guess the next step would be them making the finals. But then from there, I guess winning the finals against the East is not surprising as well too. So Milwaukee kind of goes in there. If Giannis does win the title this year, I guess that is probably a little surprising, but it is in probably the next tier up from the odds surprising tier anyways for Milwaukee. They would jump up with Minnesota, the Lake. As much as maybe Atlanta would be a better regular season team, do we think Atlanta would win a title more than Milwaukee? That's still the Giannis factor, and being able to just the singular effort that he could provide could just be greater than some of these teams. Hey, yo, if Dallas won the title, would it be shocking this year? Would it be shocking? I don't know. If we have to ask, what does that mean? Washington probably would be a little bit more than shocking, to be honest. That would be like did somebody, is this actually AI? And now that we've built AI in the AI reality, it's being revealed to us what it is. But that would be, again, just be wait a second, this is Washington won the title. What happened? I guess, Washington, if they trade for Giannis and then somebody else and then somebody else somehow, if Milwaukee relocates to Washington and then they win the East that way, I don't know. That would be a way the Wizards win the title. They'd have to swap teams with somebody. But yeah, at least those 5 teams, I would say. And again, if you want to say OKC and then the next 4, I get that, I guess. But still, if we're just not putting OKC in their own tier out of jealousy, I guess, then we would say it would be, those 6 teams, I guess. Those 5, because I guess the Clippers are in the mix, and the Magic aren't actually in that top tier. So OKC, Denver, Houston, Cleveland, and New York would be, in our minds, if we had to guess, one of those title teams. If we name all the top teams, one of the title teams would be from there. But again, if one of the title teams was not one of those teams, it would be a little bit okay, I wouldn't exactly know, knowing the end result, I wouldn't exactly be okay, I wonder how that played out. If the Magic won the finals, I wouldn't necessarily know what happened in the finals. Would it be a OKC sort of karma situation for the Halliburton thing? And again, I'm not trying to wish that on anybody. Svengoon! Oh, chat. That would have been a real killer. Because again, it's still a 5-point game right now. So I guess not to say that going up 8 with 5 minutes left would be killer. But the momentum there would have been oh man, Svengoon is just on one tonight. It is what it is. But again, I don't necessarily would think oh yeah, Orlando immediately outplayed OKC. Did OKC lose to Denver and then Orlando beat Denver? Did OKC get hurt? Did Denver get hurt? Did both those teams get hurt, and Minnesota's in the finals, and then Orlando beat Minnesota, and then is that how Minnesota won the finals as well too? Did they somehow get a playoff run where they avoided OKC and Denver? I don't even know how that would work, but somehow that like, again, I wouldn't necessarily know those scenarios. Versus if you're like Denver won the finals, you're like, oh yeah, no, they won a series against all their teams, and then nobody in the East can beat them. Same with OKC, they won the finals. Yeah, sure, they won all the in Houston. Like, I guess point would be, they would be in that category where it's like, yeah, they could win these series against these other teams, OKC being the one that's like, we'll have to see. But anyways, the tone setter for the season, at least to have us, and I guess, we get to game 20 and OKC's 18-2, then it's like, oh yeah, that game one, they had to lose one of them, and it would be the opening night, maybe a little slow. Hey, it is what it is. Ring ceremony, they're not necessarily all the way locked in. Durant, the pull-up jumper, though. Maybe the Houston team just built different, chat. Well built. I think, chat, is this just the takedown OKC year? Just, we can't have OKC be a dynasty. And again, I know, like, we were comparing them to Tatum and Brown. I think that is a fun comparison where Tatum and Brown are still scary. I mean, if Tatum comes back in the playoffs, I mean, maybe, do we have to actually put the Celtics in it wouldn't be surprising if the Celtics won the finals. I mean, it would be a little surprising if Tatum came back and won the finals, but I guess if they did win the finals, I would guess what the path would be. Like, I think I could predict that going into the season. Brown and Peyton Pritchard leading the team to the finals. If that was the scenario, it'd be like, actually, you're wrong. It was, Anthony Simons was the finals MVP. I'd be like, oh, okay, that is actually surprising. But if you're like, Boston won the finals, it's like, oh, wait a second, Tatum was back, and then it worked? They won the finals? Like, that's crazy. But, yeah, that group is, again, as a duo, you would fear them as they could win the finals every year, but they're not quite in the unbeatable territory of a duo where you're just like, oh, man, we have to play Stephen Durant like we're hopeless. There's nothing we can do. Oh, man, LeBron and Wade, like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe. And, that's just bulletin board material now for Tatum and Brown to just be like, wait a second, we're not LeBron and Wade. And that's actually, again, the totally fair mindset to be able to approach those type of things as well, too. We're not saying that if they heard that we wouldn't not want them to react that way. I guess, we're not trying to be insightful, I guess. But, just as a fan, speaking about it, as a Spurs fan who would hypothetically putting ourselves in these high-level matchups against these teams, I guess, again, just legacy-wise, I'd rather play Tatum and Brown in the finals than Stephen Durant. It is what it is. And I know that even Tatum and Brown are starting to get to those same spots in their careers as well, too. And with all due respect to those guys, I would just still rather, it's not, I'm not saying it's a great option. I'm just saying if those are my two matchups, I'm taking Durant. I'm taking Durant on my team, but I'm taking the opportunity to play Tatum and Brown over the opportunity to play Stephen Durant, and I'm taking the opportunity to play Shea and Jalen Williams over Tatum and Durant, or what are these teams now, chat? Stephen Durant as well too. Even though Tatum and Durant is crazy. Amen Thompson, the logo 3, but I think Udoka takes a little bit of a momentum slowing timeout. 3 minutes left. The crowd starting to get energized. You can see OKC is potentially starting to get into closeout mode here. But, for other teams last year, again, OKC would pour it on, and then by 3 minutes left in the third, we're like, wait a second, how is OKC up 17 all of a sudden? Like, how did they turn this game into such a decisive victory? Now it's like, could they win this game? So I think this is a legit, Houston is a playoff matchup for OKC type of game. And again, this totally just, like, I think if we can't go in circles enough on this pod, the fact that, again, they don't have Jalen Williams cannot be understated. But the style that they can play with in getting this game ugly is something that I think can translate still with having him on the court as well. But I guess their odds are not currently moving as they are up in this game in the fourth quarter. So maybe Vegas already knows what the script of this one is. And, again, even with the offseason stuff that the Clippers have had, like the offseason, I guess, basketball moves people have been more sold on than the offseason off-the-court moves. But I don't know, chat. I don't honestly see how they can be 18-1 even to win the finals. There's just like that basic, have we seen it with Kawhi and Harden already sort of factored to it, to where I don't know, again, and speaking of the playoff trust factors, I don't really know, unfortunately, if we trust them as fans to be able to have those playoff runs at this point with the way that their seasons have ended the last couple of years. But again, this is a lineup of guys that I just don't know in what, where we'd be ranking these guys in our lists for talent in the league at this point. And there is still, like, yes, I guess these guys do put up numbers for sure. But, John Collins, who was the third highest paid guy on this team, was, on this Jazz team that was tanking the last couple of years. And I guess they were, like, a little bit better than people were thinking. But, again, it was like they'd be, like, the 6th pick in the draft and not the number 1 pick in the draft. So it was ultimately kind of a weird worse thing for them over these last couple of years. But Bogdanovich, honestly, might be the number, I guess Zubats. And then maybe Bogdanovich is their number 2 trade value guy. Like, I know that their best lineup is probably Kawhi, James Harden, John Collins, Zubats, and then, maybe Derek Jones for the defense at that point, Bogdanovich for the offense. Maybe ideally it's Bradley Beal. But, again, their literal, like, most valuable, like, asset lineup just trades, flexibility, system versatility around the league. Like, it literally might be Zubats, Bogdanovich, Derek Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, and then, Cam Christie, honestly, as well. Like, they're 5 guys that if we're just drafting, which guys do you want off this team? Because Chris Paul, with all due respect, I think is just there for the nostalgia of Lob City. And if he has to play 12 minutes every week, once a week, maybe he can manage that. Like, I'm trying not to be too disrespectful here. Amen Thompson just gets to the basket with ease. The spin, was that on Kason Wallace, chat? Hey, yo. So that's what we were saying earlier, that his ability to get to the rim, could be just as lethal as some of these other scorers with how athletic and dynamic he can be. But Steven Adams switching on to Shea. Oh, Shea passes to Caruso. He gave it up, chat. He had Steven Adams on him. He gave it up. Hey, yo, they get it into Chet, the easy layup. I mean, the ball movement, I guess, wins the day. You'll take that over a forced look by Shea. And to be honest, this could be maybe an interesting or maybe a different sort of Shea mindset this year. Because, again, I think Shea last year attacks Steven Adams there and at least, again, tries to draw a foul. Thompson, again, gets to the basket, pushes off, or in a, a legal way. I'm saying in a good way. Gets the separation, we should say. On Chet. It's all about phrasing, chat. It is, really is. Pause. Oh, and the 3 from Kason Wallace. Oh, chat, they've closed it to 1 here. 2 minutes left. Shout out again. Houston is, going offense for offense, and they haven't really gotten stopped by that OKC defense quite yet in this last couple of minutes here. I guess just Amen Thompson hasn't been stopped by OKC. Oh, until now, chat, the turnover. They get hands in on the drive, and they turn it over. Shea in transition. He's attacking Jabari Smith. That's got to be a foul. Is it a jump ball? They're calling for a review. It seemed like some good defense there by Jabari Smith a little bit. But, again, I guess Shea here. What's the shot attempts for Shea in this game? Only 15 attempts. So 19 points again. Shea, 17 for 15. He's at that 50% mark. 5 for 6 from the free throw line, though, is still a little bit less than he's been. And I guess 4 assists, is maybe just some quicker passing for Shea in general in this one, and maybe not, the long drives directly leading to shots or directly leading to assisting or leading to his own looks. You've got Dort, I guess, 2 for 10 tonight, really firing away as well, too. And yeah, Mitchell, Mitchell's got 3 less shots than Shea. Is not necessarily a field goal attempt separation, I would have thought, going into this game. That is for sure. But yeah, his, again, just sort of the keeping the ball moving aspect to this team that he is maybe helping with this year is maybe a way that he approaches the game. Because he was definitely going for the MVP a little bit last year. Not to say that, again, it was bad that he was being as aggressive he was, because that's how the team was winning and he was playing awesome and it was, the formula for everything. But as the talent is there and as these guys get better. As Chet gets better as well too. And, I'm not saying that there's going to be one season where Shea scores 22 a game and one where he scores 32. But there may be one where, again, if he's not going to be a full-on pause like Luka Doncic, James Harden in that type of way where, maybe he's 32 a game one year and then 28 a game the next year. But that could be, 3 to 4 field goal attempts going to other guys or a couple of drives to free throws that go to other guys as well too. And again, you're in that 28 to 30 a game range. You're just as elite, obviously. And we would know he still would be. Playoffs, get back to that level. But if he was 27 a game. And again, speaking of Tatum, I think Tatum and I guess maybe Brown as well too has had that sort of up and down with his scoring. I think his shooting percentages have maybe been a little bit more of a factor than that than his like style of play per se. But I guess Tatum as well has, like we're saying, fluctuated around in those numbers. So yeah, he was up to 30 a game in 22, 23, 21 shots. He had that rise every year in production for sure. But then, like we've seen the last couple of years, has leveled off to, 27, 28 a game, 26.9 and 26.8 the last 2 years. 19 field goal attempts and then 20 last year, even though a smidge lower. And again, Shea is even more efficient as well too than Tatum is, being one of the most efficient players in the league, just straight up. But just a little bit more passing focused could be an interesting look for Shea this year as well. And again, I was thinking about, while we were kind of watching the game, figuring out if we would do like a all NBA season prediction. I guess, we're far enough into the game at this point. Hey, we didn't end up doing that. Maybe we kind of stumble through that right now. I don't know. But, maybe Shea, again, in a respectful, not saying he's going to fall off, but maybe he's not a lock for first team All-NBA as well, too. And, again, those were the things that I was just curious to see about for OKC going into this year, because those aren't, and again, hot takes over here, but those aren't small achievements. And I know that, again, we all know that, but it's not something that we necessarily think about when we throw these around. And you do, again, get the guys like Luka Doncic as well, too, who do put up those stats and are able to get into that tier every year of first-team All-NBA. I guess, speaking of Tatum and Giannis and Jokic, like, we've had consistency at that spot. So to say that, is Shea going to just jump right up and be the next consistent guy would make a ton of sense. But I guess even Luka here, let's double check. Does he dip down to like a second-team All-NBA? Or, it would probably be because of availability for him, and he would have years where because of injury, maybe he wouldn't, I guess in the past, maybe that becomes an issue. We'll have to see going forward as well too, how that becomes a factor. And Shea with the lead, chat. So everything about Houston, now all of a sudden doesn't even matter. Like we're saying, the difference can be 1 to 2 buckets, and it just, it makes it seem a little bit, more than it actually is. And that can, affect off seasons as well too, if we're talking playoff pictures. But just if we walk away from this game going, OKC was able to close out this game in an impressive way to fight back in this fourth quarter. I mean, obviously, fair takeaway, and yes, I'm not disagreeing with it. But, and again, they get Jalen Williams back, they're going to win by 15. Sure, but, this Rockets team is going to get better as well too. And again, this version of the OKC team, even without Jalen Williams, there is a chemistry aspect to it there. They know how to play together. They know this team is used to this lineup more so than figuring out still some of this Houston stuff. And, again, Thompson is probably a little bit offensively. He's going to probably take more strides this year, you would assume, than Shea and Jalen Williams. Again, just because those guys are already a little bit closer to what they are offensively. But we got, Chet not getting a foul and then getting the offensive rebound and a putback there. So, I don't know, the refs on the side of the Thunder at home. But I guess here, Doncic, we were going to check his All-NBAs and stuff here. No, chat, Luka's been first-team All-NBA every year, except for, I guess, last year, because of the 50 games that he played, wasn't able to qualify. Though I don't know if he quite would have been a first-team All-NBA guy last year anyways. Do we have to pull up the All-NBA teams again from last year? Because, he wouldn't have gotten Shea's spot last year. Shea, the numbers and the team was just too good. I know it is positionless now, but, Jokic and Giannis probably not giving up their spots as well. And then I guess we're not remembering who the full team was there. Oh, Tatum. So yeah, again, you got 60 wins from Tatum, Mitchell, and Shea. So just team aspect wise, like Luka's team is not gonna get a spot over either of those team. And then you're basically arguing probably Luka and Giannis at that point. So he may have, but last year, again, legitimately may have been a second-team All-NBA year for Luka. And he was, of course, that's balancing maybe a little bit of a step back portion of it in Dallas, and then, the extra bump up to equal sort of a normal Luka Doncic season. But again, he was at 28 last year versus 33.9, 34 a game the year before that. So it's like, is Luka Doncic 6 points worse in points per game? Going from 33.9 to 28.2, it's like, no, actually 28.2 is still crazy. And, I mean, obviously if his percentages were higher, he would be right there as well, too. Luka himself has not even been, the most efficient player as well, which is part of why, some of the usage stuff is a little bit, it is what it is. Leading the league in field goal attempts those last 3 years, in Dallas. But, yeah. Again, and if Jalen Williams takes a step up as well, too, like, Durant and Steph Ayo, we're continuing to compare him to all these great duos. It is what it is. These are the easy names, I guess, to remember in NBA history from this time period. But Basketball Reference, just work. It is what it is, chat. Called out. Basketball Reference, live, caught, not responding. It is what it is. I guess, we all have our moments, chat. It is what it is. But the duo of those guys, Steph and Durant, did take away from a little bit of the award stuff as well, too. So if J-Dub jumps up and if he plays 67 games this year and is at 25 a game and Shea's at 28, like they might both be on second team All-NBA. And then you've got, Jokic again on first team, lock Giannis in for first team. We can lock Wemby in for first team All-NBA if he plays 70 games. Because he's going to be too good of a two-way player. And then you're going to have the one other regular season team as well, too. So Sengun with the spinning little hook shot from the post puts the Rockets back up one. And this is where the lack of three-point shooting could become an issue if they can't quite trade 2 for 3. But Cason Wallace misses, and now the Rockets have to get a stop. So, again, they'll probably get a 2 here, unless Sengun just pick and roll the ball handler, chat. Thompson, Sengun, pick and roll. Sengun's playing point. Hey, yo. Getting too excited. Durant, chat. They make the trade. This is what it's about. Dort with just an excessive foul. It is what it is. Maybe anybody could have gotten that foul, but I don't know if Dort would have been, that motivated to foul somebody. I don't know. But, yeah, Durant, the last second opportunity, fourth quarter, a chance to close the game. This is why you trade for him, chat. And at least, him getting to the free throw line is something comfortable as well, too. Yeah, just bad closeout there by Dort, chat. It is what it is. You're not going to want to give Durant any space to operate, but, you're setting yourself up there to foul him the whole time. It is what it is. And, he misses the first! He misses the first! We jinxed it, chat! It is what it is. We were hyping it up too much. There was no way that it was going to happen, I guess. So, as clutch as Durant is, he can't overcome the announcer's curse, chat. It is what it is. His first miss of the night. I guess, spoiler alert, the ESPN says he makes the second, but then the ESPN says the Thunder also scores, so we can't look at the ESPN. It is what it is. The screen is going to be alerted about the game before we are. 104 to 102. Oh, man, Shea, chat, the MVP. The one-stop dribble pull-up over Amen Thompson. It's too easy. It's too easy, chat. And that's why he can maybe be like that this year. Because his confidence is going to be at a different level than it was even last year. He's been one of the most confident players in the league. But now he knows what his game is capable of in terms of powering this team success-wise. So he knows that when he's at his best, he is, arguably the best in the league. And he can save himself for these end-of-game moments. Not that he has to, but he just knows, hey, if I know every now and then to when to insert myself, pause, to be able to keep the team in the game. I'll score here, score here. It doesn't have to be me carrying every bit of scoring, but doing enough to keep the team in the game. I'll carry here when I need to, and then at the end of the game, you know, obviously just be one of the best bucket getters that we have, most division bucket getters that we have had in recent history. And against Amen Thompson, who, again, all defensive level defender, Udoka is, you know, I guess giving him the coaching on the sideline, but pause. Whoa. But you, I think he's giving the coaching to cover other people, Chad. Ayo, but, whoa. Are we going to get suspended for that one as well, too, Chad? I don't know. But Shea, 23 tonight, 12 in the fourth quarter. And maybe sort of just the three-quarter element of it as well, too. And switching to kind of a fourth quarter takeover mode for the season is definitely something that could be the way that he paces himself through the course of these games. But 2 seconds left. I still haven't even seen the score out of my periphery yet, so we're good there. Everything I say maybe doesn't even matter, as the current score is already up on the screen, I would guess. But 2 seconds left. The game is tied with Durant. I mean, again, this is why you bring him in here, so you could get a Reed Shepherd 3. You could get a Sven-Goon look, but you're going to probably want to get it to Durant. It is Sven-Goon! It is a look! Oh, he didn't get it to go, chat. Sven-Goon's been the player of the game up until the fourth quarter, but there was good defense. That time, they're going to let you get away with a little bit more contact. That is for sure. So, how fitting, chat. How fitting on opening night. This tough matchup between these two teams that could be the top of the Western Conference, you know, Denver excluded. And now it's overtime to decide who's going to take this first matchup. Hey, yo, let's go, chat. One more quarter of action between these two teams. And I guess, do we switch services and switch games and start Lakers-Warriors? Nope. If LeBron was playing, maybe. But I guess, hey, yo, it is what it is. So, overtime, chat. Up next, we'll take a quick break, take a quick breath, and then be back for the last 5 minutes. Who's going to close this one out, chat? We still need more time to figure it out right after this. Plugged in time. We got the microphone plugged in time for the start of overtime, at least on the TV. Hey, yo, chat. It is what it is. It looks like we're going up on the ESPN already. Of course, you know, welcome in the NBA season chat. If you guys don't know, the ESPN background does get ahead of the game stream. It is what it is. So, spoiler alerts there for at least what we're reacting to. But we also got, you know, shout out to this hockey game. Hey, yo, 4-3. You know, we got a good little score here. going for this one. It's Rem's hockey breakdown. But we don't even want this. The game we want to start is actually this Avalanche Mammoth game, and not this Lakers Warriors game. But overtime, chat, is going to be fun as well too. We need to see, I think, how the Rockets would continue to respond to the pressure that OKC would apply in this type of situation, because, again, they can really ramp up over the course of the game, and we saw them play, again, even speaking of some of the, basketball analysts that we were referencing earlier, shout out, of course, but, the levels of defense that they historically would put the levels that they could get to last year would be way, way up there. So to see how the Rockets could respond to a high-level Thunder effort as well too, and not necessarily, the end of game scenario, and like we were saying, oh man, the Rocket or the Thunder turned that one, and now all of a sudden they're getting the win. But the fact that at least you get overtime, you get a chance to continue to respond and see if they fight through and get the win. But Durant dribbled off his foot to start overtime, so I would not say that would be a great sign. And Shea continues to work, gets the dribble, little turnaround mid-range shot that he likes. But Thompson, he's been there defensively, and Shea is just too comfortable in his looks right now. I know he missed that one, but I wouldn't say that he was rattled or out of rhythm in that jumper as well too. So like we were saying, for the duo, this could be that big legacy year for them to continue, of course, to rack up those achievements. But again, for Jokic, Shea has to win the MVP last year because Jokic just can't win too many MVPs in a row. Chet for 3, Thunder up 3. This is where maybe the spiral starts to happen here in overtime. But unless Sengun can stop the bleeding, we'll have to see. But now the defense collapsed on Sengun. So the passing, they're going to have Sengun, I guess, point Sengun, a little Amen Thompson off the ball, cutting. But that's what we're saying. When Sengun takes over and he gets to passing, it always ends up in a Jabari Smith shot as well too. So I don't know how he's just like, hey, can we get this to end in a Durant shot somehow, or an Amen Thompson shot, or back to Sengun? I guess shout out to Jabari Smith. He can take some looks, but maybe he's got a slightly different role on this team. It is what it is. But I guess to go for Shea, again, he's not. And with all due respect, I think we can fairly say this as us looking at the NBA community, but also looking at our own lists as well too. He is not the top player in the NBA. I guess I'll say in my mind, I was gonna say he's not viewed as the top player in the NBA, but to be fair to the basketball community and to put myself into the conversation as well, to be fair, like I would not view Shea as the best basketball player in the league. I would still view Jokic, and of course, I think that we're biased to Giannis because we hope the Spurs trade for him at some point in the season. But we would definitely take Giannis over Shea at that point. I mean, I guess that would be a good way to look at it. If the league would say that we could pair any other star with Wemby, again, would you have to take Jokic? I mean, it is what it is. Our hands are tied, chat. We have to take Jokic, but we're taking Giannis next because we're biased. We just, I guess, love Giannis. It is what it is. Shout out, pause. But, would Shea actually, I guess, not just take Giannis' spot, and not say that he could take Jokic's spot, but, the advanced stats were there for him last year. And I know that, again, offensively, Jokic covers so much ground and he's able to lift so much offensively that it even makes him, like, he defensively is like the best advanced stats defender in the league because he's so good offensively. It just outweighs all of the other numbers in all of the on-off stuff. But again, in some of the other advanced numbers as well, Shea was keeping up in some of the PER stuff, and I guess like VORP and win shares, obviously because they were winning more games as well too. But even in like the per 48 aspects, I guess here we can go fact check. I'll just stop saying advanced stats. And we can actually pull up the advanced stats and see what we got. Player stats. Look at this. I got a tab over here that says advanced. So I think now, that advanced stats continue to advance. So now it's like all the AI tracking stuff and, wherever that's even going as well too. Second Spectrum getting involved. But Shea for 3 gets to go. 110-104. Oh, chat. The onslaught has started. Okay, that's except for win shares, which again you would expect because Shea was on a better team. So even box score plus minus. Like, I thought Shea was in the, but maybe just again Shea being being close and being ahead at points in the season was impressive as well too. And then again we just kind of know. I guess this proves what we were saying. Like, we wouldn't view Shea as the best player in the league, but maybe he wins a case there. And ultimately, it's not going to be like, hey, if Jokic is playing with, if we switch Jokic and Shea, is Jokic going to be worse off? Is Amen Thompson cramping? Hopefully it's just a cramp. Hopefully it's not a Tony Romo situation. We do have, I guess, one of the other Rockets players trying to stretch it out. So it's not, pause, it's not necessarily like, oh, let me hold his dangling ankle. Okay, yeah, he's up and walking. He's good to go. Hey, yo. I know one of these times we're going to say it's a cramp and we're going to Romo it, and it's not going to be. But that time it looks like it might have actually been. So OKC up 4 again. Rockets still in striking range. Not going away. Not getting taken down. And, again, Indiana was there with them as well, too. Like, I think this basketball team, Houston has put together is a little bit more name value talented than Indiana, but they were, again, still competing with OKC every step of the way there for a while, in that series. And I guess a fully healthy OKC as well, too. So it's not to say that other teams, and Denver as well, too, it's not to say that other teams weren't competing with them, but ultimately they were, again, having moments of just looking overwhelming on the court and really pulling away, in that aspect there. I guess Shea defensively did get some more win shares, so that's something. But defensive box plus minus, yeah, I guess, again, Jokic is going to outweigh him in all of those stats there. But you just see his bucket getting chat is, and again, he led the league in scoring last year, but it's just ridiculous. And I know Luka is right there as well, too, and Steph, but, he may be passing those guys in my mind as well. And again, he does have the defensive thing that, like we're saying, is going to be a factor. Tatum, again, he's just not as efficient as Shea. Like, Shea just makes more shots than Tatum does. I know Tatum is, at the end of the day, as good, as impactful, all that stuff. They've both led their teams to finals. But his scoring, and it is, obviously MJ, is the name, whatever. But hey, there it is, chat. The mid-range. It's unstoppable. I throw my hands up. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Wemby is going to have to do a lot. And I know that, I guess we're comparing the Spurs to OKC because the OKC is the defending champ. But also, again, I guess happy birthday to our guy Billy Buckets. I can't believe, hour 3, we have to say happy birthday finally. But today is his birthday. We were out of town this weekend at a football game with some of the friends celebrating the birthday as well. Great experience. Definitely a, core memory type of event as well, too. First time at a Michigan game. A lot of fun. So shout out. But, he's an OKC fan. So there is that just direct sort of friendship comparison as well, too, of like, oh, no, this guy's team is just... And I like, we saw it in football with Sam, where it's like we just get to watch this guy, just the year-over-year happiness of like, oh, man, I wish our team was achieving that. And, we definitely have the star player element with the Spurs, maybe a little bit more lockdown than the Colts have had figured out, with the quarterbacks in this Mahomes era of dominance. But, for just sort of that bragging rights, our best player is better than your best player. Like, I can't say that Wemby right now is a better basketball player than Shea. Like, Shea's scoring and his consistency in that aspect is, a better skill, obviously, than, I think as good as Wemby's defense is. Oh, chat, what a clutch 3 by Jabari Smith. 2-point game, 2 minutes left. Durant stumbling around there on offense ends up making a good read because the shot goes. And that's where, I guess, Jabari Smith, we're criticizing him for, I guess when he takes those corner threes, but if he's making them and it's clutch, that's, those are the scenarios. Like, that's fine. We don't want necessarily, again, 7 times a quarter, they're bailing out with that type of look. But, again, you're going to have to make that late in the game, as that is going to be something that the team is going to give you as well, too. So, like, Harrison Barnes at times on some of those Warriors teams is going to be taking clutch shots. Jabari Smith, I guess, is going to have to be the Harrison Barnes. The problem is, I guess they can't trade him for Durant because they already have Durant. So who's the Durant? I guess, is Durant the Iggy of this team? I think Durant's better than Iggy. But if Sengun is Klay Thompson and Amen is Steph, or is Sengun Draymond? I don't know. But Dylan Brooks might have been Draymond, honestly. But, you know, maybe Jabari Smith's hoping to be Draymond in this scenario. So maybe they don't have Draymond. They're a piece short. They're 2 pieces short. Hey, yo, Chad. I guess, I don't know if we're building every team in this frame. But again, you could necessarily put the Thunder in that frame as well, too. As Shea is Steph and Jalen is Klay, and I guess maybe, you know, Chet is not quite a Durant. In this, Ousmane Dieng is Durant in this scenario, I guess. You know, they're just saving him for the playoffs, is honestly what it is. So 1-point game, a minute 20. I can't believe this is not an Ousmane Dieng type of game, chat. Athleticism, we don't want to see his ball handling skills out here against this type of team, I guess. But Chet for 3. Oh, Chet, they just can't miss. Oh, man. It's going to be a long season, chat. I thought that they could get them. I really did watching that game. It looked tempting, but they'd get swept in a series, chat. They wouldn't get swept, obviously. But they, you know, with Jalen Williams coming back, I know that we were saying that, you know, could they hang with them in the same type of way? But the way they closed this game out with them, like, the way they closed this game out without him playing, I can't, you know, again, obviously they're going to be better with him, and I don't know that, that Houston has another level to go to with this roster outside of the individual talent just taking a major step up. Like, strategically, and not to say that, you know, again, they're super limited. I guess, you know, Finney Smith is just a good player to have in the mix and does add depth to your rotation, gives you options. And like I said, he, you know, is he better than the Okogie minutes? Like, I guess here we'll see what minutes he's taken, because I guess, you know, again, this starting 5 is probably pretty good. I don't know if you go, you know, him for Steven Adams at some point, but if you want to bring him off the bench as well too, you know, Tari Eason just has that energy, and there are going to be nights where offensively he's a little bit more productive as well too. But yeah, Okogie and Capella getting 8 minutes. Like, again, they just don't have a ton else to go to. So, you know, we might see a little bit more Aaron Holiday over the course of the regular season. I'm sure that, you know, they're going to be looking for opportunities. Like, maybe they switch out Okogie for another 9th man that's just they're a little bit more comfortable with, or fits kind of what they're going to be trying to do with. And again, it's a 2-point game as well too. You know, they fought, they were close, but Shea's scoring is too good. Like, Amen Thompson, again, is as good of a defender as you can get, and he's the one that you're like, okay, who do we absolutely have to put on Shea? I guess, again, speaking of Tari Eason, like, it would literally have to be Tari Eason, I guess, or Okogie. Like, that's literally how they would make their living in a series like this going forward. Would just have to be like, I am putting everything that I have from a basketball standpoint into stopping Shea Gilgeous-Alexander from scoring. And again, from a talent standpoint, Amen Thompson's as good as that. He still can't seem to, you know, throw Shea Gilgeous off his game. I know that Shea did miss one, so if we look at the stats, you know, there is going to be just a stats thing there. But again, I wouldn't necessarily say that I watched that play and went, oh, yeah, that's the matchup right there. Amen's got him locked down. Like, Shea is, even if you stop him from getting to the basket, again, those little fallaways and the way he can spin off of contact and create space, those are all shots that he wants to get to and can get to as well. So, you know, he was firing threes tonight, didn't, like we're saying, get to the free throw line even much in the second half. I think he was 5 for 6 at halftime. So, you know, really playing through that physicality and still getting the field goals to go here, I think kind of puts the free... And I think him kind of falling away, too, instead of, you know, always, like, pump faking. And maybe that is him being cautious of the foul hunting thing and going away from that. It could just be, again, the way the game was being called. Like, we've seen him get calls on those fallaways a lot in the past. But, you know, again, him playing through that as well, too, was fun. So, I guess, like, Jashawn Tate is not bad. He could be a guy that Udoka just needs to give some more minutes to. But, yeah, again, okay, we got to wait for the Denver matchup, I guess, and see if Denver has a chance. I guess, hey, yo, chat, I should stop talking because Houston just tied the game here on the ESPN with 13 seconds left. So, we got the spoilers again. Is it Sengun Sengun gets the inbound. He's got Caruso on him, so that is a good matchup. Hey, chat, the voice is going. Can it make it another overtime? I don't know. Sengun gets his own rebound. Chat, the game is tied. There it is. There it is. It's still exciting, even if we know that we forgot that we even spoiled it for ourselves there for a second. Hey, yo. I think it might be the quickest that anybody's ever forgotten anything that just happened. It's a good thing we're not on the broadcast because we have no retention to be able to remember that we just looked at the score and saw that it was tied. But I guess it makes it fun to watch for us still because, you know, we can get excited about the plays as they happen. But you got to attack the matchup. And again, Sengun's been the guy. So, oh, check. We can't make it another quarter. It is what it is. But they got to trade Durant. It's the only move to save the team. I'm not even joking. Hey, yo, Sengun's been too good. And literally everything goes to, you know, beating this OKC team. Like, Sengun's an OKC destroyer. It is what it is. He can't be stopped. I mean, he's definitely having the game of his life, but you're telling me that you can't just use a couple extra rotation pieces for Kevin Durant at this point? It might Kevin Durant might be, hopefully he's unhappy around the game 22 mark. And then we can start looking for other destinations. Do we just have to, for the sake of, because it's Durant and it's realistic that literally anything from a trade standpoint is on, like, hey, yo, that Minnesota trade, chat, lock it in. Durant's going to be in Minnesota during the All-Star break. Or the Clippers, maybe. Worst case scenario. I don't know. Trading him in conference would be a bold move as well. Just be like, yeah, you can have him. We can win the title with your bench pieces around Amen Thompson and Sengun. Make no mistake. But maybe that's the Knicks move, chat. The panic Knicks move. Because that could be a team that if they're, you know, if they're just like a 55% win percentage a little earlier on, like just a little over 500 early in the season, and oh, Chad, a Koji taking a foul on the perimeter with 4.7, hopefully they had a foul to give there. Hey, yo, is Shea just going to get 2 free throws and then Houston's going to have the ball with 4.7? Okay, it is what it is. I mean, what are we doing there? Wrapping up? Like, okay, they do have a foul to give. Okay, good. I was going to say. We're just sending Shea to the line. At least fall for the pump fake first. Hey, yo. So 4.7. I guess stopping the Shea. Drive. He goes to the pull-up. And he's fouled. So I almost would have rather have been fouled on the other one. Oh, wait a second. No foul? Somebody, there's some confusion with the timeout. Hey, chat, do we just have to sit in silence and figure out what's going on? We might have to. I think, did Dagnall call a timeout beforehand? I mean, hey, yo, chat. Maybe this is the most even matchup in the league. I guess, again, is Jalen Williams cut an overtime out of this so they beat the Rockets in 1 overtime instead of 2 if they have Jalen Williams? Like, what is the difference at this point, honestly? Do we get the second overtime? What's going to happen? Do we focus on the Durant panic trade? I guess that would be the team. You know, I guess, who else? Cleveland? Would Cleveland Durant panic trade? I don't know the contracts, the ability for them to do that. But here, let's see if we go to the trade machine here real quick. As we try to let them figure out what happened in these last couple of seconds. Because either we're going to get, I guess, one more play or overtime. Which I guess, you know, another play with 1.3 is what they're maybe saying as well. I don't know. But wait, the closed caption saying not recognized? So, yeah, chat, we're getting another overtime. Okay, Durant trade machine, I guess, continues. So yeah, let's see what we get here, chat. Hey yo, if you're just joining us for overtime number 2, we have decided over the course of watching this game that the Rockets' move to be better than OKC and not take this game to 2 overtimes when Jalen Williams gets back is they're gonna have to trade Kevin Durant at some point in this season. It is what it is, and we'll see here if it's possible for the Knicks to panic and trade for Kevin Durant. They barely have first apron space. They do have a little bit of second apron space, though, to work with. And I guess the Van Fleet contract to trade if they need to. But Durant 1 year for 54. So it probably wouldn't be Durant for Towns. But they have second apron space. Oh, wait. So the team is hard capped at the second. Oh, they are hard capped if they go into the second apron. So, I mean, chat, would we do Anunoby? And I know it wouldn't be Anunoby for Durant straight up. Probably couldn't work on the trade machine. But Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson. Uh-oh, chat. Uh-oh, it's getting close. Do they have the Capella contract to go back to give you those center minutes? Hey, yo, can we do like a 2 for 3 here? We may be able to get this to work. Okay, that's probably going to be too much. But let's just see where we're at here in terms of we need to cut $8 million, I guess, from this trade. So a little bit. But there may be one contract that we can make this work with. Yabusele? That would be a good get, Chad. For the Knicks, or for the Rockets. Hey, yo, Yabusele, Mitchell Robinson, and Anunoby? They would call that in right away, Chad. Hey, yo. I mean, it may honestly be the Van Fleet contract that has to go at this point. Reed Shepherd? Ooh. Chad, now we're focusing too much on this trade, but a Reed Shepherd for McBride swap in there is interesting. So overtime number 2, Chad, is underway, tied at 115. So that shows you, again, defensively where we're at with these teams as well, too, where we do have to get to the second overtime for, both these teams to get to 115. Wouldn't necessarily be a super surprising score to see that in regulation. But Reed Shepherd misses the opening jump shot as well, too. So go for the floor spacing early on with him getting the start in the second. And Chet did foul out in that period as well, too. So to continue to add to, I guess, either the Shea MVP case or... Wait, is Thompson done? Thompson's done as well, too. And according to the closed caption, Shane Goon has... Hey, I don't even know if we're allowed to say that, chat. But he has 5 fouls as well, too. So no Thompson, no Chet for the rest of the game. The Thompson loss might be a bigger loss. I guess that's why we get the Reed Shepherd minutes as well, too. Maybe some Tari Eason here in the last 4 minutes. So, yeah, Reed Shepherd having to navigate Case and Wallace at the top of the key is tough. He just killed like half of the shot clock there, trying to dribble around him. But they do end up getting it into Steven Adams for what would have been a decent look if he had managed to hold on to it. Hartenstein with the good play, though, ends up knocking it away. So, now it's going to have to be Durant, of course, as the focal point of the offense, as much as we would, again, want him to be off the ball, or, obviously Sven Goon as well, too. You got to be careful with the 5 fouls. But at this point, I don't know, we're not throwing away a game in second overtime, but, there's been enough on tape to think that you can go toe-to-toe. So, I guess point being, if Sven Goon fouls out here, I would just play the Sven Goon minutes normally, and if he fouls out, he fouls out. It is what it is. It's not the fourth quarter at this point. Again, you got to, there could be a situation in the finals or the playoffs, where, I guess not the finals, but the playoffs, where, you're in in 2 overtimes. It's not like, again, take these situations for granted. To make sure that you're playing your good basketball and your finest minutes against these good teams to prove yourself, for sure. But again, we're in overtime number 2 in game 1 of the regular season. They don't have their best players as well. So at this point in the game, if Sven Goon is gonna, if you're gonna put it in the hands of the refs, I would just make bad calls at this point, or tough calls as well. But hey, yo, I don't know if we made that point clearly, but I think hopefully it was understood. So, I don't know if the point of this trade was just Reed Shepherd for McBride, but I guess that's the new foundation of the trade. So Durant now in the mix puts this at 65 going to the Knicks in the trade. And the Rockets with the 2-point lead. Ayo. Don't forget. Ayo, chat. Remind me, we do have a game going. So out would be 43 if they throw Anunoby. And then I guess Mitchell Robinson in this deal as well. So is this the 3 for 3 that we need here? Robinson, McBride, and Anunoby for Durant, Shepherd, and Capella. And it's more like a 2.5. Oh, shout out to Capella, but like a 2.5 for 3. And to be honest, McBride as well too. Can kind of give you some of the 3-point shooting stuff as well. Oh, chat, so close. So close. Oh, wait a second. No, we're not. 15 million? Wait, how are we off so much? Maybe I just wasn't reading the... Obviously, I wasn't reading the numbers when we put Mitchell Robinson in. Yeah, wait a second. Let's get Capella out of this deal here. And Mitchell Robinson. Okay, chat, now it's just Rem stumbles around the trade machine. Let's go back to the game and focus on the last 3 minutes. But, hey, yo, keep in mind, Durant panic trade, we'll figure it out somehow. Bring a third team in. and make it work. Next time, chat, stay tuned. We'll have the Durant trade ready to go. Caruso airballs a 3. So if they win this game without Amen Thompson, this is the will they trade Kevin Durant game, I guess. Opening game of the season. If they win this game, keep Kevin Durant around. It works. If they lose this game, I say panic. Panic time. Trade him to the Knicks for Anunoby and get some depth and stuff around Thompson and figure it out. But hey, yo, chat, we do have our Mammoth Avalanche game firing up as well too. So hey, yo, again, shout out to the hockey season for being underway, keeping us entertained. But with 3 minutes left, Rockets do have a 1-point lead. Caruso in the middle of the zone now has gotten a couple opportunities for some looks and some misses. So I imagine this is just, okay, Shea taking over the last couple of times. He let his teammates do the work. Oh! He misses the 3-point attempt there. So does not attack Durant on the drive. Does he have 5 fouls as well? He has 2 fouls. So he can be aggressive here on offense and not have to worry about it, and on defense as well, which he is in the post, fighting against Jabari Smith. Oh! Another tough bucket by Jabari Smith. You got the size advantage there, so even if we just go back to the type of player that he was in the league, you know, he should be able to make that shot against, or, you know, the projected player that he was going into the draft. That's a look that we were hoping he was just going to make anyways, but just a player with the size advantage, smaller guard, that little fall away you should be able to take as well. So Durant now picks up his 5th foul. You know, we're not going to be able, a third overtime, the league's just like, okay, you know, do we want to see Josh Okogie battle AJ Mitchell here for the end of this game that should be in the hands of the Stars? Shea, it's going to take him 2 overtimes to get to 30. You know, his points per game average is going to start off okay for the year, but I guess minutes-wise, it's going to be tough. 45 minutes to start, chat. Hey, yo, shout out. 43 for Dort, 40 for Wallace, 47 for Sengun. Sengun, chat, pause. Going to go the full 48 to start the year? Sengun with the Mikal Bridges. Bridges is jealous. Bridges wants to play 50 minutes to start the year. He wants his box score at some point to say he averages more minutes than is actually in an NBA game. But I don't know if he wants to do that for a full season. But he would just love to, I think, screenshot that and have that as like a profile pic. Like 50 minutes a game, Mikal Bridges. Multiple games played, shout out. But Sengun, oh, Chad Caruso! He swats him. 0.3 left on the shot clock so they can get the inbound. We'll see if Sengun is the inbounder here. Do they call the foul? Oh, they can't, chat. That's clean. Yeah, no, Reed Shepherd inbounding. Yeah, that's a beautiful block by Caruso. Hey, yo. That's that's the type of, hey, yo, chat. I gotta say, one of the things in our pickup game that we do pride ourselves in is our shot blocking abilities. And, you know, I would say we're a little bit more of a 2-3 in a pickup game than we would obviously be in like a, and it depends on the pickup game. I would say pickup game at a random park, we could even play the 4 if we needed to. But if we're at like a Y and maybe it's a little bit more focused, then we're definitely running like a 2-guard off the ball situation. You know, I don't know if you want to running point with our, you know, maybe a little over dribbling at times and not necessarily, you know, I would say 10 out of 10 handling. Ayo, Case and Wallace with a 3 to take the lead. We're breaking down our own pickup game over here. I guess it is overtime number 2, but I think we are a good help side guard block, shot blocker. A little Dwayne Wade, John Wall, I guess Alex Caruso in the mix. Just because I like that as a guard as well, too. I think that's fun. A shot blocking guard is just a fun thing. Wade and Wall, I wouldn't necessarily say that, again, we could model the rest of our games after them because they're just, you know, high flying above them. But Wall as well, too. Wall is like a defensive shot blocker passing point guard. It's just a fun, like, it's just a unique player. Maybe Chad, I take it back. You know what? I was, you know, hot take. Guess what? Your boy's not as fast as John Wall. But do we like throwing good, crazy passes and, like we're saying, you know, help side blocks, chase down blocks? Heck yeah, Chad. So, yeah, John Wall. I'll take a John Wall comp. Again, I don't think we're quite getting there, but we'll try. That's our new goal. John Wall comp. So I don't know what we're allowed to even strive for in terms of comps as players, but, you know, what are our options as well, too, Chad? So now Hartenstein is fouled out. Hey, yo, so, you know, Thunder going small maybe is just a lineup move that they would do anyways. But, now the starters are really dropping. So, if, Caruso, I guess, can guard any 5. At this point, oh, Chat Shea. Oh, he cooking Jabari Smith over here. He's got him moving backwards. The little behind the back step back. I mean, the closeout abilities. The game is still tied, though. So they're going to need to get a stop and then, answer on the other end for them to switch this and for them to actually end this game. Hey, yo, chat. The NBA, we're hyping it up so much. They're like, you want NBA back? You're going to be sick of this first game. 2 overtimes. You're just going to want it to end. But I guess we don't want the night to end. We want to watch this Warriors-Lakers game as well, too. But, maybe this game at this point, again, the stars starting to get fouled out. Maybe we have seen what we need to see for a Rockets Thunder matchup as well too. If it's I guess if Wemby was playing a 4th overtime, then maybe we'd stick around. But hey, yo, at some point we just need to. And it's like, okay, I get it. You're even. You can go toe to toe. Oh, chat. Shea missing the free throw, so they can go up by 1 here, and it is a 2-for-1 off of this free throw if the Rockets don't, I guess, just take a crazy fast offensive possession here. But, they can definitely take the lead here with a 2 if they are able to get to the basket. So you still have Sengun, you still have Durant. They may have actually gotten to the point where they have the more talent on the court. So, AO chat, I don't know if we switch over and see. Maybe we just check the score real quick of AO. We just checked the score of this game, I guess, as well, too. And I guess we're in timeout, so it's still even there. But let's see. As the first quarter is over for Warriors-Lakers, we still don't know what's going on. How many points does Bronny have? 28-25. Warriors are up. Jimmy Butler. Ooh, chat. Jimmy Butler could be one of the swing players of the season. I gotta say, definitely from an NBA community standpoint, going into the, we were kind of putting him into the aging superstar category, but could he be a guy that, again, could he still be a 3rd-team All-NBA guy? Sure, I guess. Wouldn't be shocked if he was. So, Warriors, I would still say, even with Jimmy Butler, 12 first-quarter points, would still put them in, a little shocked if they won the title. Some of the bench stuff is, and again, the drop-off from Steph and Butler, maybe to Draymond, then coming up with pods, like, it's not maybe a finals roster at this point. But if you do have Steph and Jimmy playing at a All-NBA level this year, even if it's still 2nd to 3rd team type of level, then that's still, again, a playoff level team in the West, and 2 top 15 guys is definitely making waves. So again, Butler and Steph as well too. It's like, is he a top 5 guy this year? Is he a top 15 guy this year? Is Butler a top 10 guy this year? Is he a top 20 guy this year? But again, in our hypothetical player rankings, oh, chat, the Rockets get a bucket here. We're going toe to toe. This is crazy. I don't even know what the takeaway is at this point. Nobody is left in the game. Nobody can get a stop. Durant. Oh, the pass to Steven Adams. Back to Durant. Oh, is it a 3? Foot on the line? No. It's Jabari Smith again, chat. Jabari Smith, the guy we said who can't be relied on to save the Rockets, has saved the Rockets. The rebounds, the little baskets at the end of the game. Sengun with the sweeping layup makes it a 1-possession game for the Rockets. So that goes to what we were saying. The Thunder will get the last look. And I imagine Shea, with his confidence, if he doesn't run the clock down and take the last shot, then make no mistake. I've never read a Shea Gilgeous Instagram caption before. I mean, this is a moment that is going to get posted about if this bucket goes in. Make no mistake. But it's an opportunity that you're not bummed about as well, too, if you are the Thunder. But good look by Sengun there, sweeping into the basket. That puts him at 39 for the game. 20 for 24, 5 for 8. So, chat, at this point in the, I guess, Shea is 33 points, but 1 for 9 for 3. Is Sengun the MVP of the league? I guess he's outscored. I don't know why I said Shea has 33. Sengun has 39, not 29. Durant with 23. And 39, 7 assists, 11 rebounds. So almost a triple-double. He has to be, chat. What are the MVP odds at this point? Where are Sengun's MVP odds? At the 1-game mark, I gotta say. Rem and Sam MVP power rankings, Sengun number 1. Right now he sits at 100-1. next to Paolo Banchero and Donovan Mitchell. Hey, yo. I mean, Donovan Mitchell was first team All-NBA last year. I don't know if he's that far off. I guess he's still like a top 10 odds guy-ish. But there is a little bit of a drop-off there after you even get for the top 3. So the MVP is definitely, I guess, going to be Shea, Jokic, or Luka. But maybe Wemby, Giannis, or Edwards. But probably not Cade, Brunson, or probably not Cade or Brunson. And definitely not Mitchell, Paolo, and Sengun, I guess, according to the odds. Or Durant. I love that Embiid is like the 15th, 20th best MVP odds in here. That's great. Shea dancing. Shea spinning. Durant fouls. 2.3. At least they'll get a look. But, Shea with 2 shots here to end this game. He did miss his last free throw, so I guess fingers crossed that, that may happen again. I guess. Do we cross our fingers? Hey, I guess we want to keep this game going. I don't know. But, unless that happens, we could see a 1-point lead here in a quick bucket scenario for the Rockets. But, again, they have executed here in these final shot clock scenarios. So, is that Durant fouling out? Oh, Chet, Durant's out of the game. Hey, yo. But I guess Sengun's your MVP. So, as long as Sengun's there for overtime 3, you're good. Sengun versus Shea battling it out. This is what we needed, chat. A last man standing battle royale game. And what do you know? Who's left? Shea and Sengun. So, a really telling game. And to be honest, I don't know what that says about the Rockets if Sengun's their best player. Again, they're going toe-to-toe with them. So, toe-to-toe with the Thunder, which is the measuring stick team. Pause. So, in some ways, that's great. You're like, okay, what more do we need to figure out? If our good players are, whatever order our good players are in, we can hang with this team. But, again, I still think that the hierarchy of a team with Amen as your best player, Durant a little bit better scoring is obviously, and Durant better scoring in general, whether or not he's your best player, is going to be the main thing. And I guess, if he was 24, 23 a game this year with the balance of the team, that wouldn't be crazy. But, him being still in the 50-40 club, 48-38 club, maybe 49-39 club would still be ideal as well too, and just say that, hey, the benefit is, again, sort of the reduced workload that you have to take, and then you're still able to maintain a lot of that efficiency stuff as you're aging here, and respectfully as a basketball player. But 2.3, we got 2.5 seconds for Sengun to get a bucket here, or I guess again Jabari Smith is, if he gets a good matchup, has gotten a couple to go if they do get him an inbound look close enough to the basket. So Reed Shepherd, I imagine, is inbounding. And no Hartenstein, no Chet. So you don't really have any size around the rim to play defense there. Again, you trust sort of the swarming ability of the athletes that you have on the court. But you do lose that effect as well. So you don't have Durant to sort of counter that if you are Houston. But you could still go Steven Adams and Sengun, just to put size, which they will, and I guess size in general, because Jabari Smith is 7'1" from looking at some of these pictures. Speaking of Wemby, adding a couple inches, pause. It might be Jabari Smith as well, too. And I guess the closed captionings are just going to commit to the Sengun way of spelling. It is what it is. So they do inbound to Jabari Smith. It's center Jalen Williams on him on defense, and he doesn't get it to go. A Jabari Smith fall-away 20-footer at the end of the game is probably the look you want to get if you're OKC. And they escape with a 1-point win in double overtime. Woo! Chat, we got to take our hats off for that one. Oh, chat. I can feel the ab workout in our tummy. I don't know if that's from, the game is adding some soreness there. But, hey, yo, what a way to start the NBA season. They're making us go pause 3 hours here, chat. It is what it is. Welcome in. It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year. Alperen Sengun's gonna win MVP. The Rockets are gonna win the title. We got it figured out, chat. It is what it is. So, whew, I think we still have enough time to go catch this Warriors-Rockets game as well, too, before we hit the hay. But, hey, yo, chat, thanks for jumping on with us to open up the NBA season for this first game. I don't think we could ask for a better performance. And it's, again, I think sets the tone for a fun season that, like we were saying, are the Rockets, or did this prove the Thunder's closeout ability as well as the Rockets' ability to hang with this team? Absolutely. But, again, could it be competitive this year? It's going to be a competitive year. And if the Thunder are going to go back-to-back, if they are going to be this dynasty team, again, I guess, like we were saying, the teams that did go, or that Warriors team specifically, there was that they were just kind of cruising through the league that year. Like, they dominated as a 73-9 team, and then with Durant, we just knew all season that they were going to be unstoppable. So I guess, if anything, yes, the Thunder are still terrifying here. Like we're saying, Shea is still more terrifying. Jalen Williams will be returning. But it's like, yeah, this Rockets team can maybe hang with them in the playoffs. You know, maybe we'll see. Can Denver hang with them in the playoffs? We'll see what those matchups looks like. But maybe there's hope, chat, that I guess if Oklahoma City is going to be a dynasty, that they won't win back-to-back. Because, hey, yo, chat, I mean, not to say that this Rockets team is going to get legacy points over the Spurs if they win back-to-back, but again, imagine Billy Buckets, you know, the 2 titles in a row. It's like the Spurs haven't even done that. Now we're just getting greedy as well, too. You know, we have more rings at this point. You know, we had to start talking about the past rings, honestly. You know, it's not a good sign. But, hey, yo, chat, we'll be back Friday night. We're in NBA season now, so NBA hoops for the next couple of months. If you like the NBA, the REMINGTOM pod is the place to be. Of course, over the summer, you know, it's fun to pivot into a lot of the movies and the albums and stuff to continue to focus on. And make no mistake, we're still going to definitely keep those at the front of, you know, when those anniversaries, when those times to shout out those amazing projects that we love are. But, you know, I guess we'll also have NBA to complement those nights as well, too. So, you know, NBA, again, is going to be at the center of the pod for the next couple of months as the season is on. And, you know, NFL as well, too, and still the other things as well, too. You guys know how it goes here on the REMINGTOM pod. But, yeah, we'll be back Friday night, of course, here on the YouTube live. If you don't catch us live here on the YouTube, you know, shout out if you guys are listening to this, of course, later on the podcast feeds. You can find us on Spotify and Apple and, you know, all the different platforms there. And if you want to send us a message, the DMs are open at REMINGTOM on Instagram, REMINGTOM pod on Instagram, if you guys want to send us a message over there. So, yeah, shout out, stay tuned, chat. We're here for the NBA season. We're here hanging out with you guys, and we will be back, like I said, Friday night, NBA hoops, and whatever else is on the docket. Schedule? Is docket even a word for that? I think it is, but hey, yo, whatever else is on the schedule, we will be looking forward to having fun, hanging out here again. So, stay safe, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we will see y'all later this week. Peace.